I'll go ahead and start rolling audio. Yeah, I see the preview.
I don't know what the fuck.
Now, we're super demonetized right now, because Lucky... if we're actually live, Lucky threw about 4 F-bombs there. So
No, we're not actually live. No.
Well, you're streaming to the preview. That may or may not end up in the live cut uploading. I've always been very ambiguous about how that works. But, yeah, okay. But we're going.
Alright, and things are looking and going live.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, no. Animals. Okay. I almost dropped another F-bomb there, but no. I was able to avoid such devastation. It was not my intent. I brought it around soon. I brought it around soon, don't worry.
Yeah, we've been rolling audio for the past, 50 seconds. It's fine. Everything's in here.
Everything's fine.
And if you don't get the funny bit of that in the, 20-second live version or whatever, you can go back and listen to our audio on Patreon, and it'll have the thing.
Yeah, the thing, and the place with the stuff.
Yeah, it's rolling. Okay.
I can be glib when I want to be. It's just not very often. Oh, wait, no.
Okay, hi, welcome to What's Up, a show about things and stuff. Lucky is playing Nier.
Yep, more replicants.
Okay.
Like I said, I think I put this in the description. Don't expect any, major story play beats here. There's a fuck ton of side quests to do. And a lot of grinding to do, so I'm gonna focus on that right now.
Yeah, I've been hearing people talking about, the levels of farming you can do, which can take several in-game days.
And, actual farming, too.
Yeah.
Ah, bats!
Okay, so before we go anywhere, let me remind everybody this episode is brought to you by our patrons, as they have all just paid up this month, so it's important to remember them. Mm-hmm. Like Adam DeHarp, Aka Comics, Aka Kazime, Architect 10, Bucks G, Carlos, Qua, Ferris, Jeremy Vasquez, Jonathan Sandoval, Kylie Denton, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Regent Raptor, Rogue Robin, Charvor, Shawnee P, some guy named Bob, Soda Son over 24733. If you like what we do and want us to do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. Thank you for your support, everybody.
Wait a minute, did I forget to save?
Oh, did you miss some stuff?
I think I did, so I think I'm gonna have to go do a fucking boss battle. Maybe?
Wild.
No?
So
wait,
actually...
Where am I?
Where are you? Nobody knows.
Hang on.
Lucky has to futz with the game.
I do have to futz with the game. Where am I?
Well, it reminds me of something, if we want to go there.
Go for it.
We'll just jump in with some stuff. So I'm gonna double check this up if I can, this topic. Yeah, except all cookies. So, interesting. So what I want to throw out there is, the first of many video game related topics. We got a lot of those to talk about. We got a lot of different things to talk about, but there's a few of these that we want to hit up. One of which is that, Returnal, is out.
Yes.
And it's getting some interesting reviews, but you were talking about saving. It's actually an interesting feature. So, I've been hearing some back and forth stuff on Returnal, right?
Yeah.
And we've been talking about this since it's coming up. On the one hand, it looks really good. Like, it's a full AAA game from the studio. It looks really nice. It's got some interesting themes, but also it is roguelike, right? Like, yes. It's supposed to be iterative. You die, you come back. It's procedural, so you get a new map every time. You gotta look for different things in your runs, get in there. And it's got some interesting stuff. But I learned the other day through news articles about this that apparently there's no save and quit feature.
Yeah.
You have to use a checkpoint, which are rare, to actually, save your progress and quit out of a run. You can put your PS5 in rest mode, but I haven't done that since I've owned a PS5, because with certain games, that can cause your PS5 to explode, basically. And I still don't know if that's been fixed. I don't see news articles about, oh, hey, nobody's seen the rest mode bug, so, if the choice is quit your roguelike run because you gotta go stop your pasta from burning down, or you gotta go out for a movie, or you've got a personal emergency, or you're a busy man, you have a day job, and blowing up your PS5, well, you should quit your roguelike, even if it's $70.
Well, I hear that the other problem with this is that Returnal's roguelike runs are not sure. You can be a fucking hour into them.
Yes, that's what I've heard, is if you get it going, it's very extensive, which is, obviously, I get the purity of the roguelike element, but
I missed the goat.
It's definitely one of those things where, no, game designers, you have to understand, if these runs are this long, people don't have time to play that. And I don't want to, spend $70 to be well, I've only got 2 hours before a show. Now, obviously, I can just, pause it in a menu and, mute my TV or something, but, what if you gotta sleep? What if you gotta go out? And so, it's interesting. Now, the reason why I know this is because I saw several articles pop up when I check like Google News and stuff about this is a debate that's ongoing, and apparently Returnal is like looking at this and says they did the classic like, okay, actually I should say this to chat. No, the PS5 doesn't literally blow up; it bricks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a full like factory reset kind of a thing. So it does not literally explode, but it basically does the same thing. So it's like, you know, it can at the very least cause you a serious loss of like time and stuff, and at worst is like you're out of PS5. It doesn't like go nuclear, but yeah, it's still bad news bears. And like I said, I don't know if it's fixed. I don't know if anybody knows what caused it. But yeah. So Housemarque, who make Returnal, did the classic video game company please stop yelling at us response, which is, we hear you, audience, we heard you, which is I think the most like textbook neutral response a game company has, right, Lucky? Like, well, we hear you, yeah, we got you, we've heard that you've said a thing, we're not going to commit whether we're going to say a thing, and we don't want to say we're not going to do a thing for sure, because then you won't shut the fuck up.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of climate we live in. Whatever you say will be immortalized.
Yeah. Your pithy tweet will get screen capped even if you delete it. But
yeah.
It's also one of those things where, like, clearly you don't, as the game developer, if you actually want people to stop complaining, you don't want to say, no, fuck you, we're not doing that, this is our artistic vision, because then people will really not shut the fuck up. And also, in a slightly scummy way, that also means you can still bait people into playing $70 for your game who aren't going to be able to play it because they're busy. That said, a lot of people are at home right now, so, you know, it's got some options. Returnal is a game I'm watching, and I think especially if they added this straight-up save-and-quit feature. No, it's not short, Axe. It's not short, is what people are saying. There are checkpoints, but they apparently, like, are very resource-intense or very spread out to get to, so you are expected to put away a couple of hours into a serious run before you can stop. And it's a game you're also meant to do multiple runs on, obviously.
If your runs are short, you're probably not that good at the game.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Like, a lot of people are saying it's like third-person shooter Hades, which sounds cool, but also, we've talked about this, I don't actually think you can beat the game in one run. I think the idea is if you die and reset, that's it. It's procedurally generated, so your world is different. Like, you go back to a starting point. So, yeah, it sounds like it's got a lot of roguelike truisms, but I've also heard a lot of people say it's not super going on. Well, I don't know, Axe. I don't know a lot about it because I'm just like seeing what people like yammer about on Twitter. I expect, I mean, like, a lot of people can probably do it in one clean run, but I also expect those people are like dedicated to beating roguelikes in one true run so they can brag about it. Which, no shame, obviously, if that's your hobby. That's not my hobby though, so I'm not gonna like take those people for granted. Like, my concern, like, yeah, somebody said, I'm sorry, I'm reading something in chat. They said Hades runs are like 30-40 minutes long on a full one, and then it feels like it's hours for Returnal. Yeah, Returnal runs are like, I've heard, over an hour long, like minimum on a run, and you're doing different stuff. Now, it is more story related. Like I think Axe said in Patreon chat that you can get the true ending on like one single run. That sounds like something that actually fits with what I've heard. Like, some people are like, oh, this is actually kind of like light hitting for a roguelike. Like, if you're good, you can beat the game in one go in a relatively short amount of time. But because it's procedurally generated, you could go back and play it again and have a different experience, you know? So it's got replayability, but still, it sounds like it's got some things that kind of lean on the roguelike stuff that I'm like, that sounds like kind of annoying. Like, I would hate to, like, or more likely I just wouldn't do it because I know about this feature, but if I didn't know, it would be annoying. But it would be one of those things where it's like, I would look at my copy of Returnal and go, that's a game I can't boot up because we've only got an hour before the show and I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish my run, and that's going to be really annoying if I get good, right?
Yep.
So, I'm definitely going to put a pause on Returnal for now, because it is a full-price next-gen game. But it seems like it's got a lot of interesting, like, it seems like they've done some things which don't satisfy necessarily either audience, but not in, like, a bad way. Like, they didn't go hardcore to the nines on the roguelike stuff, but also didn't go, like, full-blown casual.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it seems like it has a bunch of other elements in too, because even though it's a roguelike, it's still a third-person action shooter with a lot of what it seems to be bullet hell.
Yeah, that's I believe that's what Housemarque is known for, so they translated their bullet hell stuff to 3D.
Mm. So, like I said, it seems like something interesting genre, and it could potentially be more than the sum of its parts. But right now, I'm not about that life.
No, that sounds very stressful.
Yeah. But kinda, I love you. So, yeah, we're back to Board Drift Simulator and gushing over Kaine. But, yeah, no, Returnal, like, I don't know if I'll wait till I sell or something, but either way, I gotta wait till my finances are in better situation and I stop glancing at all the Nier products I can buy on Amazon and Square Enix Store.
Mm-hmm.
It's, they're powerful. Too fucking powerful.
So that was my first bullet point about Returnal, but that talking about money, that can bring me back to another topic, if you're okay jumping.
Go for it. Segue.
So I want to give a couple of shout-outs on the show for people. First, I want to shout out King's Games, kingsgames.com. They're a gaming store that's I believe they're located in Brooklyn, New York, but they have an online store. I've bought a couple of Yu-Gi-Oh! Products, sealed product from them on Amazon, and I've been ordering some other product, and they threw these little cards in there, they're like, hey, if you order directly from our website, you can get, like, we'll throw in, like, an extra booster or loose pack in there, and I'm like, that's neat. You guys seem okay. So also, hey, future announcements, I'm going to be doing some more pack openings for Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff this month, because there's more product coming out this month. So if you're into those, we'll do some. I've already locked in one of my orders. So I want to shout out King's Games because I was looking around, shopping around, and like prices were a little bit higher on Amazon. I think as we get up to the actual, because it's technically pre-ordering, as we get up to the actual release date, the net price is starting to come down because they're like, oh shit, we're not moving a lot of product. We're going back to the normal, MSRP. Mm-hmm. But on King's Games website, I was able to order from them for MSRP, the standard market price. And they offer free shipping and they accept PayPal, so I'm like, that's perfectly fine. That's as good as I get on Amazon.com. Mm-hmm. But I also want to shout out to them for just being a relatively nice service for just some, rando game store I'm ordering from online. Because Past Omega was a dumbass. Uh-oh. I went onto their site and I apparently put a product in my shopping cart that I wasn't going to buy again, especially not at full market price. The value's gone down for that booster pack. So I put it in my shopping bag and I thought, oh, clearly when I came back to this site to do an order of something, I'm like, clearly I was smart and I already put the product I wanted to order in here, and I go through all the steps and I do all this stuff, and then I realize as I'm staring at the checkout after ordering, I'm like, wait a minute, that's the wrong booster pack. Uh-oh. So I shoot them an email because they've got an email address there, because there's no cancel button on their site, and I'm like, that's not good. So I shoot them an email. I'm like, hey, I made a mistake in my order. How can I cancel it? I want to, reorder the right product. And then obviously I did this because I meet at like 4:30 in the afternoon. So I didn't get an email back that night, but also the order didn't process that night, so it doesn't really matter. Next day I get up and they're like, okay, no problem. We've canceled it. I'm like, cool. And then I was able to go back and actually order the correct product. And I was able to order the correct product with something from PayPal that I believe is a new feature. Well, no, because I just literally emailed them. It's one of those things where like they've got like a cookie cutter box format, right? Like they've got an online web store. They're not Amazon, so you gotta like let them know. It's like if you call a person on the phone and made an order back in the old days, and then you realize, wait, shit, that was a wrong order. You gotta redial that guy and fucking cancel it and be like, hey, that order I just made? I was a complete idiot and I ordered the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Like that's just how you do it,
How you do.
So it wasn't a huge problem. Like literally there was no questions asked when I said I had to cancel. They were like, no problem, we've done it. Like they didn't even were like, here's how you do it. They were like, oh, you want to cancel? We've got your email. It's done. It's gone.
I bet
your refund
really
is processed.
Nice and says nice things. I mean, she's pretty nice, but she's not on those nice things.
Yeah, totally. That part.
Actually, listen, Lucky's not to cut you off on this, but I do want to get this out before the cleanse. But Lucky's been on a huge Yoko Taro binge. Unfortunately, Omega and other people in our Discord have been victims to this, as I have. Well, Omega quote unquote suffers because I fuck up the Studio Omega YouTube algorithms by playing a lot of Nier Automata and Nier Replicant / Gestalt music in there. That's the wrong move, me. But the Discord suffers is because I've been just constantly posting Yoko Taro interviews. Just because, like I said, I've been on a kick here recently. But in the middle of this kick, I have it double headbutted me! Oh, fuck you! Eat blood. Or whatever the fuck this is. But the Speaking of Kaine, I was actually reading notes on Yoko Taro's design, and the actual bleeps in the language are actually fully intentional because Yoko Taro thought it'd be fucking hilarious.
I mean, it sounds about right, because Yoko Taro doesn't seem like the guy who would censor himself. It's just clearly a joke.
It's clearly a joke. So, yeah, no, just, there's some Yoko Taro game design trivia for you. It's gonna headbutt me, it's gonna hit it!
Yep,
it headbutted me.
Yeah, so, what I was gonna say the next bit was, so I ordered with PayPal, and PayPal has this new feature, Lucky, I don't know if you've heard of this, because it is supposed to be new, but it's called PayPal Pay in 4.
Pay in 4. Oh, is that where you basically separate everything into 4 payments?
Yes, it's a little, like, reading it, because it's gotta have some legal documentation. It seems a little freaky, because, like, technically you're taking a loan from PayPal. Like, PayPal pays up the upfront cost, and then you pay them back in 4 payments every 2 weeks, including a down payment. But, in general, it's, I tried it out for a couple of these purchases, because, like, okay, Yu-Gi-Oh! Products aren't that expensive, but they're about as much as, like, buying new video games, and it's a thing where, you know, it takes a while for it to ship to me, and it has to come out because it's a pre-order, so this works really well to, like, space this cost out, because the way with our business we make money is a little weird sometimes, right? For the audience at home, to break this down really quick. So we get Patreon money at the start of the month. Patreon charges our patrons on the first, who are monthly. And then that all goes into the payout pile, and then I hit the payout button, and that takes 2 to 3 business days.
The boar! Oh, it's my boar.
You called the boar.
Yeah, I just called the boar. He just showed up behind me, and I was like, ah!
Classic video game mount fashion.
That's right.
But yeah, so, like, and then after that, I have to, you know, spin off the cut to Lucky, and then usually only after I've done that do I like to budget purchases. Also, great job, Lucky. You immediately ate shit with the boar.
Yeah, boars go fast.
They do go fast, I know that. I boar drifted last time. By the way, I don't think we said that on air. I'm not, like, watching this live and can't take over for Lucky, because it was cool, but it's not necessary for what we're doing today.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so, and then when we get ad rev, we get, at the end of a month, YouTube, but basically Google, totals up all our monetization revenue for that past month, and then process it, and then they put it in an account, and then at the 20th of the next month, they automatically pay it out. You can at no point, this isn't like Patreon, you at no point can request Daddy Googlebucks to pay you money. You have to wait until the day Daddy Googlebucks says he can pay you money. So we get this kind of like offset, like 3 weeks into the month, then the YouTube ad rev comes if it's over a certain threshold. Sometimes it hasn't been, but it will definitely be this month because of your generous super shadows and stuff. And also our ad rev's been killing it lately, making those big CPMs. So, you know, when our money gets kind of like weirdly spread out across several weeks, breaking up payments that way is also really cool. And I wanted to make sure to bring this up to you if you've never used this, because it's seems pretty clean on a sign up, and it I know you talk about blowing a lot of money on stuff at times and looking at your bank account and just like, this is the kind of thing that if Lucky can do, it would be perfect for his purchases, because PayPal takes care of the immediate cost, and then over a couple of weeks, you know, you chip away at it over a month or two.
Do you know off the top of your head if they let you pay more than the required
amount?
Yes.
At any point you can pay off the rest of it.
Okay.
Like you have to make a down payment of the first quarter, like right away, and they give you a couple days of late fees, and you can set up automatic payments on that and stuff. But I've checked my own PayPal Pay in 4. I got set up for this thing, and it's like, yeah, you can just pay off the rest of the balance anytime.
Okay, that might be good. No, because there's things that Lucky wants. Because actually, like you were talking about, you know, buying from King's Game. Lucky went to it was last Sunday, yeah, because this was before game. Lucky went to Barnes and Noble because if I'm out and I go past like a Half Price Books or Barnes and Noble or some sort of bookstore, I was like, nah, let's take a stop. Let's make a stop. Let us go inside and hold product.
Yeah, look at the product. Touch the product.
Yeah. And, you know, I had things I did. I was going to go look for, you know, manga, light novels, and, you know, maybe some art books and stuff, because, you know, those are my jam. Yeah. And I found a couple of things that I wanted to buy, but then I was all like, wait. That's all like, a lesson that I've been picking up from Final Fantasy XIV is like, don't just buy the thing immediately. Shop around, check your prices.
Yeah, and unless you've got a ludicrously good deal in your hands, it's like, wait a minute, can I get this better?
Yeah. And actually, yeah, checking Barnes and Noble is like, let me check Amazon first. Let me just see. Because if I don't buy like, you know, product in hand, I'll probably go to Amazon. usually.
Well, and for books especially, since Amazon started as a bookstore, you can almost always find a good, like, MSRP deal.
Mm-hmm.
Very minimal upselling on Amazon's part.
Because, again, Lucky's on this big Yoko Taro kick, and he has discovered, like, he literally had this crystalline moment, like, it happened this week, where I'm like, oh wait, no, I love Yoko Taro and this aesthetic, and I just want to be all about that merch. And so I've been looking at stuff, and shoot, like, the fucking... Near Automata World Guides, there's 2 of them. They're still like $40 at Barnes & Noble. I went on Amazon, they're like 22. I'm like, nope.
Yeah, because Barnes & Noble is still, like, corporate, which means, like, this is the reason why, like talking about the product I accidentally ordered, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, on King's Game, it was technically full MSRP, which I'll talk about that for a second if you don't know what that means, people at home. I pulled up the definition to make sure. But it was still technically full price, whereas if you go on Amazon, the reason why I don't want to buy more of that set is because generally people don't like it a lot, and I bought a box and opened it. It was Genesis Impact. You can check out that video. I also think there was a little bit of short printing and some of the rarity wasn't good in that, so a lot of people don't like it, so if you want to buy more boxes on Amazon, you can buy them for like $10 or $20 less because people are trying to unload their stock, whereas buying it directly from the game store, who buys it directly from those people, like, and they're not known for discounts, it's, hard to pull it off sometime. You gotta wait quite a while before you're like, well, shit, the product has to go,
Mm-hmm.
Same with Barnes & Noble, like, they have agreements with retailers not to undercut too much.
Yeah. But no, Lucky's building a list. Like, I want, both World Guides. There is a book for Near Replicant. I can't remember the name of it. It's an import. There's not an actually English version. But you can buy it on the English Amazon, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to surprise. I don't have to futz around with Amazon JP, which I still haven't completely and utterly figured out yet, because they don't ship everything internationally. Some things, yes. Most things, no. But, yeah, no, with this PayPal thing, actually, does Amazon use PayPal? They don't.
I think you can choose to. I don't know. I've got it hooked up to my debit card, so.
Yeah, same. I'll figure that out later, but no, like, both World Guides, the Replicant book, hecking, long story short, short story long, the essentials.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, both, soundtracks. Mm-hmm. Physical, because...
Yeah.
Fun fact, actually, both, Nier and Nier Automata soundtracks are on Spotify. So, if you want to have a listen.
Squeenix is one of those companies that's really good about putting their music on there, I believe. Like, wasn't it? Yeah. It wasn't too long ago that a lot of Final Fantasy music got on there, I believe.
Yeah, not all Final Fantasy music's on there, but a fair amount of it is.
No. And I'm gonna guess it's either probably newer stuff that they have licensing problems with, or it's old shit that, like, they're not sure they want to put up on there. That is the question mark with that. It's either one of those two things. So I mentioned this term earlier. Let's check on with it really quick. So MSRP, you may have heard of this. This is manufacturer suggested retail price, aka usually called sticker price. I think it's first to deal with like cars, but it's a term that's like spread out otherwise. It's the price that your manufacturer recommends that the retailer sell it at. So like. Yes. Like, say you've got a book, right, and you open it up, and you'll see inside the publisher will have put, this book is worth $20 US, $25 Canadian or something, which is very, I understand probably why they do that, because they're printing them in North America, so they go both places, but I'm like, that's nonsensical, because what if the exchange rate changes? It'd get a little goofy, but they do it anyway. That's the MSRP, basically. So you know that if you see this book for more than that price point, you're being overcharged, 100%. Like, you're already being overcharged because the cost to manufacture is less than the cost to retail, right?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, the retailers and distributors have to make their cut of the life-affirming money juice as well.
Yeah.
But you also know then if you get below MSRP, you're getting a little bit of a discount, So it's a good thing if you know what the market value of something is to be like, okay, this is clearly a good deal. I can get this for like $5 under, $10 under. Amazon is usually crazy good about that, though you always got to watch out if you're buying from third-party Amazon sellers, because they like to make their money back by charging you ungodly amounts of shipping. It doesn't cost you to ship that thing.
Mm.
I assume it doesn't cost them that much to ship that thing, unless maybe it's a very small product, like small price to weight ratio, because you can get free shipping a lot of places for stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, always keep that out and about.
Yeah.
Barnes and Nobles are great though. But it's definitely one of those things where, like, they're big corporate, their price points, like, are hard to move. This can be good and bad, like, I've talked about with, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Product, and I don't know, I think that was pre-air. You were talking about Twitter trends, and I was talking about the Pokemon card game thing.
Yeah.
Because Pokemon TCG is blowing up right now, and not in, like, a playing way, but in, like, a weird, freaky investment nostalgia way. And it's probably one of the Paul brothers, I don't remember which one, but he's the douchey one you want to punch in the face. Oh, wait, that's both of them. I think it's the same one who's got the sexual assault allegations that will hopefully stick, because I would believe that guy's a scumbag. But it's a big thing with, like, opening Pokemon packs, getting investment, checking on your old nostalgia cards, and it's really, like, fucking with the cardboard market. But also, like, big box stores, like big retailers like Target and Walmart are having to, like, limit their TCG purchases, and they're having to, like, put them behind lockboxes now because people are going crazy. I've heard, like, Targets have, like, had to call the police to kick people out of the stores because they're trying to, like, stay overnight and shit.
Wow.
Yeah, because that's how crazy this investment market has blown up. There was a Vice article the other day, which is why it was on Twitter. I think I retweeted it because this is a thing that's interesting to me, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Isn't quite that crazy. Like, there's always been a little bit more of an investment market with Yu-Gi-Oh! I think, than with Pokemon before, but now it's kind of turned around where, like, people are, like, crazy obsessive about, like, Pokemon stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And how Magic the Gathering handles, like, rarities and special foils is, like, completely different than I think either of those two games, so they have their own money whale problems going on that are separate. But, like, there are occasionally Yu-Gi-Oh! Sets that will get grossly overpriced. I think I bitched about Ghost from the Past earlier because there was a special kind of rarity in it that was super ultra giga rare. You're never going to find it. So if you go online, specialty sellers and, like, actual game stores have to sell it basically at, like, $10 over MSRP or double MSRP because their pre-order stock is, like, wiped out. The product is super in demand, and they have to upsell it because the supply is going so low and they need to get their value out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas big stores like Target and Walmart are corporate. They don't give a fuck. If you find the box there, you will find it at sticker price because they bought, like, as many as they bought of the thing and they aren't going to sell them anywhere else. So it's a really interesting back and forth to compare those two kind of things. Deal hunting is important, though, kids.
It is. All right, fuck this thing.
All right, so that was one of my things. Also, yes, like I said, somebody said woo for pack vids. Yeah, I've got... I think there's a couple of releases that come out in May. I don't know if one of them with, like, shipping and stuff, if it'll get to me while it's still May, but there's a couple of sets coming out. I'll try to break some boxes for y'all and show them on camera. I've got some cool mats now. I purchased a custom Yu-Gi-Oh! Mat from Optimal, which is pretty cool. I'll be, using the mats to, like, open some products. So I've got a good little setup going, but look forward to those. I know people do.
Yay.
So, I don't know, that seems like a good tangent because I think it's been mostly me while you've been figuring out what you're doing in Nier and occasionally getting exploded for like 30 minutes.
Ow.
Did you get blown up again or did you get punched?
I got shocked. But what were you saying?
Well, I was going to say this might be a good point because I've been going pretty strong for 30 minutes, though you had some stories in there, obviously. To talk about what may or may not be an elephant in the room. I don't actually know because the audience seemed pretty okay with it. About, you didn't stream on Thursday, and you had a big long post about why that was, and I know that as a result of that time, you've also got some other stuff you've been working on to maybe talk about.
No, that is true. So, again, this is going back to Yoko Taro and fucking feelings and emotions, which, if you play Nier or Drakengard has the feels too, you might understand a bit where I came from, where I'm coming from. Ow. So, when was this? So, I would say about Wednesday. Lucky's at work. He's playing a 3-hour mix of Nier and Nier Automata. Next, and I'm in the mood. I'm feeling things. I'm thinking. I'm trying to think. Because Wednesday is usually when I start thinking, all right, what am I actually to do? And like, I had a few things. I was like, okay, I could play more Nier. I can maybe see if people want to do some Final Fantasy. Maybe pop out something else. Just having those thoughts, because thankfully my job I can kind of autopilot on. I do a lot of thinking during my job. Sometimes to make its consternation when I like come in at like 12:30, 3:30 for his time, and be like, "Hey, Omega, I have thoughts." And he's like, "Okay."
Yeah, usually as I've only been awake for a couple of hours. Depending on how busy that morning is, I might not even have, like, had coffee and shit yet, and I'm like, what? Hold on, Lucky, I'm not even wearing pants right now. By the way, to briefly block out Lucky's story there for a second, in case that surprised you, yes, actually, I'm a slow starter, and you may not think it because it's a little weird to, like, how people normally understand work ethic, but no, when I actually get up out of bed, the first thing I do is I turn on my computer and I start checking shit, like, on Twitter, and I get on our Discord and, like, everything okay? Nothing explode? Everybody doing all right? Launch a new video? That kind of stuff. So, and then I usually hang out for a little bit. So, yes, Lucky will hit me up at weird times in the middle of the day and be like, "Hello, I have several paragraphs to write," and I'm like, "Okay, right. I'm gonna get some lunch."
So, I was having a thought because, again, I'm full into my I'm full into my deep thoughts mode here, and I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, because there's a lot of things I want to do. Like, trust me, there's a lot of things I want to do. I actually have a list now. I'll get into that in a moment. And unfortunately, I'm in a position where I don't necessarily. Oh yeah, this is a dead end. I don't necessarily have a lot of time for it. If you go to our community page, I think the second to last, or second to most recent, I guess would be a better way to say it, is this big long post. And in it, I did the TLDR right at the beginning, because I don't understand why people put these at the end. Just put them at the beginning, so people don't actually have to read and scroll. But the too long didn't read is I'm stopping streaming because I wanted to do more projects. The reason for this being is Lucky actually does a lot of stuff and doesn't actually have a lot of personal time. I explained it as such. Oh god, I hope that weed whacker isn't coming in.
It's coming in a little. I was going to ask you. There's a little bit of noise in the back.
Yeah, not the weed whacker. So Lucky works.
It's relatively subtle.
Yeah, Lucky works Monday through Friday. I'm usually up between 6 and 6:30, and I don't get home until about 4 to 4:15. Now, previously, before I made this decision, where's the the right way or on the wrong way?
Also, by the way, yeah, it's the top post on our community page right now.
But oh yeah, that's right.
It's new. It'll be second most when sometime within the first couple days of the week you post mailbag.
Yeah, that's right.
I won't commit Lucky to when he's going to post mailbag.
But yeah, so Monday through Friday, like I'm up 6 a.m. I don't get back till about 4, and I have to crash around 11. So that's only like 7 hours plus, taking care of things like eating, hygiene, all that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But previously, then Thursday through Sunday, I'll be doing stuff for the channel. I would stream Thursday, record Friday and Saturday, and then we'd have game, which is also recorded and put on the channel, so I count it. Wait, I already went here. Damn, I lost. On Sunday. Now, all those things usually happen, usually around 4, and can go anywhere from 7 to 9-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get projects done in 2 hours, and sometimes you stream Final Fantasy XIV for 7 hours.
Yeah. Funnily how that happened, and I ended up going right to bed after that, because even on my weekends, I try not to stay up too late because I don't want to actually fuck up my sleep schedule. So generally on those days, some days I'm like, oh, it's bedtime now. I maybe get an hour to clean up some stuff, get some food in me, and take care of that. And on top of that, usually on Saturday, Sundays, my days off, that's when I try and take care of errands. Because we usually have everything taken care of in the fucking afternoon, I try to take care of that all in the morning. Like, case in point, today, fucking went out to go grocery shopping and spent $80 on groceries. I'm like,
yeah, it happens.
Yeah. So, that basically leaves me Monday through Wednesday, 4 to 11, to do things that I want to do. Seriously play gacha. Watch anime, play video games.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that I can't do those things streaming, but I don't have to worry about being entertaining and talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, this is, people do need to, I'm not saying you don't understand that, but when I'm in front of a camera streaming, I'm splitting my focus between playing the game and talking to people, checking, oh, it's broken, and making sure that, everything is going hunky-dory. That's, fuck you, bot. That's definitely like, a bit of work. Oh shit. So, but like in those other,
we've talked about on camera before, like
yeah.
it does take effort.
Yes.
And sometimes you feel like you can go for, 5 to 7 hours, and sometimes you're like, man, I've done this for like 2 hours and I really don't feel like it.
Mm-hmm. So, I had a moment where I channeled my Yoko Taro, I sat in the room, I laid on the floor, and I'm just like, what is my life right now? And I decided that if I actually want to get through this huge fucking list of things that I want to do, I'm actually going to have to force myself to actually have some more time. Oh, hey, a bomb. I don't need it anymore. And I was like, all right, what could I give up to achieve this? And I was like, I can't give up recording on Friday, Saturday. That's literally the bulk.
Yeah, that's where the big chunk of our views, a big chunk of our ad rev comes from.
Yeah, so it's just
why most people know us and give a shit about us.
Yeah, so I'm just like, no. And so I'm like, all right, so, and I don't want to give up Sundays because I like tabletop. It's like we tabletop only once a week.
Mm-hmm.
It's never fun. And yes, it gets put on the channel, and I do a little bit of extra work for it, but it's what I like.
Relatively low effort. We're it's the reason why we started recording it because we were gonna fucking do it anyway.
Yeah.
But also I want to throw out the thing about tabletop gaming is also it's inherently fragile already, right?
Yeah.
For the most part, if any one cog is missing from the machine, it's just not worth to do it that week. So we've absolutely skipped weeks because somebody in the squad is like, oh, I'm sick today, or I've gotten 2 hours of sleep and I'm dying,
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. Lucky's back has exploded, We've all had our moments of just oh, I can't do it this week.
So, excuse me. So I'm looking at it. All right, well, I don't want to block out another one of my few days that I already have because I think I'll go fucking insane.
Mm-hmm.
So that left me with Thursday, and I'm like, all right, I can do it. Fuck. Get away from me.
Coming right for you.
They are coming right for me. But, so I was like, all right, I could maybe move a stream to another day, but then I'd still have the same fucking problem of, oh, I can't hit it from here. I still have the same problem of I'm taking up more time. So no, I actually have to get rid of my streaming days. And I actually debated about this for a good several hours and tried to come at it from all the angles. But it turns out, no, I just had to give because I can definitely say I don't have the best work ethic. I really don't.
I expect a lot of people, because of the ease of access of YouTube, don't have the best work ethic. I think I don't have the best work ethic sometimes.
I like how Kaine was just, I'm going through all this bullshit of trying to get through the minecarts, and Kaine just appears at the end. I'm just like, how?
Mm-hmm. Lucky. Okay, it's come back. Sorry, I don't know if it's just me, but our stream connection has been a little spotty sometimes. It said no data for a second for me, and then it's back. I think we're okay. People at home, are you experiencing any problems, or is that just on my end? Let me know in the comments. We can flip some dials, twist some knobs. Oh, actually, since I interrupted your story anyway, I do think somebody in patron chat said that we sound a little soft. Also, give us some hollers in the chat if we're soft or something. It could just be low energy. I'm a little dehydrated right now. My guts have been bothering me a little bit.
I can boost.
Just let us know if you're stream too loud, stream too soft, stuff like that.
It does.
Your feedback is important.
Let's say that YouTube is not giving all the data. Let me boost Discord here a little bit, and let me just actually put the mic to my face. That'd be my problem.
That helps.
I don't know why we.
Well, actually, we did have that problem earlier when we started it, where YouTube was like, streaming is not okay. Yeah, Lucky cuts a little in for me. Okay, there is some frame dropping and some stream stutter.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
This has happened to me before with OBS. I don't know if it's just a connection or a tech issue. You get anything running in the background?
I believe so, but let me see if I can. Let's see here. OBS, Google Chrome.
Chrome's always a big pain in the butt.
Yeah, let's see. Yes, YouTube, I know. You do anything to help me fix it? No? Shut up. Fuck. Now, unfortunately, if we have a bit of poor quality, I don't think I can necessarily do anything right now without actually looking the entire fucking stream. So I do apologize.
Yep. It's okay. I can still follow you at home anyway, listening to you. And if you your audio really freaks out, I'll be like, Lucky, could you repeat that to me?
Yeah. But anyway, so I decided that I would give up my stream days and make that specifically a project day, in which I sit down, nut up, shut up, and actually work on things. The majority of this is going to be small products. Okay, so people are saying that now can't even hear one word. All right. So
yeah, it sounds like maybe the audio on the stream is going bad. At home, well, yeah, the audio for patrons is fine.
Hang on, let me see here.
We'll twist some knobs, turn some dials. I lowered the bitrate in our recording area so that it's not like stressing your connection. Not that usually.
Yeah,
does
no.
that,
Looking at my preview, it looks kind of shit.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of like preview loading and buffering and stuff.
If I stop streaming, will it immediately end the stream? Like on OBS, you know?
I don't think so. Like YouTube will be like, "Whoa, you stopped streaming."
All right, well, that's what I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to do. I'm gonna try to stop streaming, and then I'm gonna see if
actually,
I can
no, it won't, because I've had OBS crash and quit streaming before in the middle of a stream. Your YouTube.
All right, everyone, hold on to your butts here. I'm going to futz with OBS a little bit and see if I can get this to work. Right, so 1 second, please.
I'll unpause the audio since we may or may not have this on stream. We may be back. Seems like it's going for now. If you can hear us, let us know in chat. Obviously, there's still a slight delay, even though we're at ultra low latency.
Ultra low.
And we say there was some delay because, man, you guys were way behind. Like by the time somebody in chat said, "Oh, it's 100% fine now," Lucky had stopped streaming through OBS and was literally resetting it. Like you were in some future timeline shit, guys. You were in the past. But I think we're back. It seems fine now. Okay, cool. We caught back up.
All right, good.
Where was you? You were talking about how you were deciding that the day you had to take for work stuff had to be your stream day.
Yeah. And I wrote a big long post because I didn't want people, because I do know that some people go and watch me stream. Usually it's not a lot, but it's like, hey,
it's a decent chunk, and even when you weren't streaming like FGO and stuff, usually you would get like on some more streamers than on some of my stuff sometimes, which, streaming rando stuff. So like there was definitely an audience for it.
But and it's still destroyed. And I wanted people, because like I said, I do feel like some like transparency is important. I want people to understand like what's happening, why I was doing things, and all that stuff. So I wrote a big long post, and like I said, everyone feedback has been positive so far, very positive. I'm like, yeah, everyone's all like, you Lucky, like we excite. And I did want to throw out there that I did like throw out 2 alternatives to people wanting to see me stream. One is what we're doing right now, and what's up?
Even if the stream is slightly scuffed,
yeah,
it's okay. We can't throw. Yeah, I'm getting the error now again. We can't throw stones though, because we've all had tech diff. Hell, even professional companies. I tried to watch Rooster Teeth stream something the other day, and they were like getting a setup back in studio for like the first time in a long time, and their like audio sync was like completely fucked. And I'm like, okay, I'll catch the VOD, because this is like they were doing what we may or may not have to do a couple of times, and like stopping, resetting the stream, going again, and like, yeah, it's a little weird. It's rough sometimes.
Why is someone sucking up the internet?
I don't know. Like I said, OBS has been a little temperamental for me the past couple of weeks. I did think I figured out like and smoothed over some of that stuff, but I haven't had a couple of problems. I don't know. Is it like out of date? Does it need an update?
I shouldn't. I usually update it when I. Hang on, let me stop it again.
Remix. Reset.
Why is it happening? Right,
yeah, you're definitely sometimes on Discord a little robot-y too. Like, you're not crazy illegible most of the time, but definitely a little weird. It's been a long time since we had this kind of problem.
Yeah. All right, let me see if I can. Give me a second here. I'm going to do some things here. Hang on.
I'm trying to think. What would even be the...
Do this. Alrighty. So that's that. And...
Well, we're not even on the YouTube right now. LGD. Though I am still, this time I want to keep the audio rolling, because I want to be safe, because we don't know if we got a backup. We got to have redundant backups.
Got backups for the backups.
Something we're not always the best at.
Redundancy. For the redundant. For the redone. for the dawn.
This may be a bit just for our patrons. Hi, guys. Thanks for supporting us. You get this extra bit of audio that I will edit out all the awkward silences out of, but may still have some weirdness in it. It's okay. It's perfectly fine with me. I'm just going to sit back and sip my water. Like I said, feel a little dehydrated today.
Okay, hang on a second. Maybe why? Hold on 1 second here. I gotta... might do a couple things here.
No problem. Welcome to the intermission. Hi, how you doing, patrons? You're the only people who are here right now.
Fortunately.
No, I'm not shilling. I'm thanking you. You're great, guys. Chef's kiss. You're great, and I believe all of you paid this month. No declines, no nothing. We're fine. It's great.
What is...
I've already told Patreon to start the process by which to pay my bank.
Actually, why are these still here? Why? Wait. Windows 10, something's a pain to navigate, I swear.
Yeah, it's not always the cleanest. I think I've talked about this before, like how I access the sound control panel to like listen to my microphone so I can do the audio loop. I have to like go through an entirely separate menu option because you literally can't go from like your start menu or something to the sound control, the sound like area. It's a little weird. When the heck did they make Windows 10? When did that come out? Are they going to come out with a new one?
Sorry, I'm uninstalling a bunch of things because I think we're doing something sneaky right now.
You think you're getting some bandwidth slurped?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that happens. I got a couple of things I like to cut or shut down. Damn. July 2015. Damn, dude.
Okay, all that's been uninstalled.
I think I've talked about this before, but computers and, like, GUI and stuff is always so, like, fascinating. Oh boy, we're gonna have to, like, announce on Twitter we're back or something if this works. We've got, like, no viewers. Everybody's left. Everybody's left to go jump on the Discord. Or just not. But yeah, computers are always really interesting because it's always weird to, like, think about how simplistic stuff is or not simple it is. But here we are.
Here we are. Streaming again.
Okay.
I have closed that, so hopefully...
Error, smooth. Wait, hold on. Okay. This is in the correct order. So at 572, the stream is healthy. Where's my direct link? Give me that.
No, it's telling me that, no, it is not that great.
Yeah, we're showing up. Right now it says healthy, and then it's poor again.
I think it has to be an internet problem, but why?
Yeah, sounds like. If you're out there hearing us on the live stream land, sorry about this. We're troubleshooting.
Honestly, at this moment, I don't think I can...
Yeah, unless it's something in, like, your OBS settings you need to, like, fiddle with again.
No, I usually generally leave my OBS settings alone.
Yes, that's a very good thing. Yeah, if you don't leave them alone, you'll fuck yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm literally dropping, like almost 65% of my frames.
Ooh, yeah. Maybe it's just a bad connection day. I used to have a couple of days like that. We've, since I, like, got more hardwires and I think we, like, upgraded our internet again because my dad started working from home, we're, like, better. But yeah, no, maybe you're just having a bad day.
Yeah, no, I like it. This is something I probably have to go, oh shit, no, I don't necessarily think I have to cycle the router. I have a hardwired line. It could help, though. Yeah, I'm gonna go cycle the router, just maybe I gotta wash out some gunk. I don't know.
Fresh connection, see what happens, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, we'll be right back once again.
Yeah, no, this is gonna actually take a little bit, so hold on to your butts. The feed is over 230. Okay. Oh, Jesus, my upload speed is horrible right now.
You don't know.
Let's see well, actually, let me double check. What is a good upload speed? Yeah, no, I'm not even getting 5. I'm getting less than 1 on my upload speed. Why?
Intriguing. Also, definitely the source of the problem. I'm not really sure. I mean, I would obviously double check what OBS is set at, even if you don't usually fuck with it, but yeah, I don't... Because, yes, viewers at home, if you're on the stream, because it seems to be running right now, Lucky is literally not doing anything on the streaming bit other than standing there, and it's still like, whoa, too much, not enough data. Got a buffer. We're dying. Getting a little bit of background noise. Oh, jeez. Boy, it's been a real while since we've had a good, solid old technical difficulties, isn't it? Yeah, the people at home only hear parts. We're punching it. We're punching the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But Lucky's mostly focused on trying to fix things, so I can continue to vamp if you're out there, if you can hear us.
Please.
We still exist. We're still going. The show must go on. I've started rolling the audio bit again. The audio recording is now like 10 minutes shorter than the video recording because technically we haven't closed the stream because that's when you gotta make multiple streams and that's bad.
By the way, Lucky's restarting his computer. He'll be right back.
Okay, he's restarting his computer. So I'm gonna pause the audio again. Okay. But alright, Lucky's back. I will start audio again. Because pausing audio is really easy.
I bet.
Push the big button that says pause. It stops for a little bit.
That open. Check that. Alright. You'd be surprised how many problems restarting your computer can fix, but let's see if it fixed this one.
Yeah, it's always hard to tell. You see the clip?
Yeah. Why do you have my cool rabbit head? Where did you get that?
Yeah. And the answer to that was from you, Lucky. You gave it to me.
Lucky likes to maintain that his memory is shit. Alright.
That or you posted it clean somewhere to show off how cool it was. It's like a 50-50.
Yeah, no. Alright. Let's start streaming again. See what happens.
Yay.
Oh, we're orange. We're red. We're dropping frames.
It may just be bad today. Well, this bit's still in the audio, so for the audience at home, potentially. Oh, well, we're green for a sec. We caught up. And then we're lagging again. What do you think we should do?
I mean, we could always can the
Yeah, we can cut the stream and just keep the audio bits, and I can stitch this together into a video form for the public, obviously.
Yeah, no, I think that might be best, because yeah. Like, it's literally it's literally pinging back and forth between how much is going on. It seems to be doing a little bit better, but it's not. It's not.
Alright, we're just having a bad day. It happens sometimes.
Yeah, unfortunately, so I am literally going to end the stream.
Alright, go for it.
It is ended. Animal Man. Yeah, so that was bullshit.
Yep. Alright. Well, I'll tweet about that real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, OBS has crashed.
Yeah, no shit, OBS. Okay. Alright.
Okie day.
I switch back. I'll retweet it for me. Okay. Alright, so, after all that, like 10 extra minutes of nothing, basically, because the stream count was like 10 ahead of the recording count. You were in the middle of explaining how, you don't have time to do all your stuff, so you're gonna stop streaming and take a day off. I think you were in the middle of telling people how if they wanted to see you stream, they could watch What's Up. Well, I guess the gods of the internet didn't like that conversation.
No, irony seems to be supreme here.
So, to focus up.
Normally, I will say, you can watch the streaming stuff on What's Up. Normally.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that seems to be just a cosmic joke today. But hopefully next week this will be solved and I can do something for that.
Yep.
And yeah, again, the other one is I've just linked my YouTube account, which literally has one video where I made BB spin round for 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, maybe I'll stream something on here. And the reason why I said my personal channel is because if I feel like streaming something and I have time for it, I don't necessarily want to be beholden to our actual studio. Because I stream things sometimes, or those videos, like, almost every day. And I don't necessarily want things to be overlapping, per se.
We don't want to get the schedule too confused.
Yeah. So, I had a hell of a time trying to get my fucking channel leak to work, though, because...
Yes, we discovered that at least on community page, that the YouTube editor is, like, really dumb.
It's just like, here, this big on link, let's just cut off the back half of it.
And then if you hit edit again, it's like, oh, this is just dots now. It's not a link anymore. I'm like, but you truncated the link. You did that.
Yeah, you did that. And so to break the link, and I'm like, fuck.
So we reset it a couple of times, and then I did a separate post like that I pinned to the top. But yeah, hopefully people know.
Yeah. And like I said, the first Thursday I had was this Thursday. I said, all right, I'm not actually going to get like super deep in anything, but I'm going to organize and make a project list of everything that's on my brain so I won't necessarily forget it, and I have something to stare at my face and be like, hey, you should work on stuff. Lucky needs a little bit of encouragement, aka peer pressure, to get things done. And you can peer pressure yourself.
Yeah. That's how I got through a couple of college projects. I would, like, take the note that said, hey, you need to do these projects by this time and, like, stick it in my, like, bedroom cabinets so it just hangs there.
Yep. And, like I said, I do have, I think I said I have, like, 23 items on here right now.
I do believe that is what you counted up in the pre-show. Yes. 23.
Let's see here. Sorry, I'm actually pulling up the little chart. I call it my project organization chart. It has several items.
Yeah, by the way, Lucky's not fucking with you when he says that. Like, he's not tooting his own horn. He has a chart, it's a table, he's got color coding, which is a step I don't usually go for, but now it's there, it's the whole thing. I said color coding's not a step I usually go for, but you got all the stuff.
Like I said, I wanted something to show me in the face, like, hey, behold, you see all this red? That red's not good. Do something about it, nerd. But yeah, like, we're always talking about, like, working on our merch and our brands and stuff, and like I said, I've had, like, a fuck ton of ideas, and the fact that I actually wrote them down, and it's like, also that I've discovered that I have skewed too much on my side. I'm like, I need to do some stuff for Mega. Yeah, like, we have the tie, like, it's separated into 4 columns here. Like, if the stream was working, I would have just thrown it up and been like, behold, but I can't. It's great.
Take our word for it.
Take our word for it. Stop saying unlucky. You're better than that. So,
listen, we're having a chaotic day down here.
We are. So I have a bunch of shirt ideas, icon ideas, and asset. That's basically the big 3 categories that I've divided everything up into. And our apparel line, we have the Tyranny Rabbit redesign and touch-up, basically taking the base, the OG Tyranny Rabbit, which I made on fucking TKO, and making it less shit.
Yeah, technically you've already redrawn him once to be put on a shirt, but that was still, like, we're at multiple layers of, like, redrawing and refining.
Yeah. And then I have a few more here that will probably not be too hard. But, next one I call Anatomy of a Tirabit. Basically, Tirabits are basically what I call the red and black bunny blobs that I like to post everywhere. Are they lucky? No, they're not lucky, but they're associated with lucky. And associated with tyranny. So basically, an anatomy of a Tirabit, excuse me. Like I said, I only have what I call the concept idea of what it could look like. I haven't actually put anything down yet. Concept, by the way, is one of the red ones. It means I haven't done any work on it, and that's bad. For example, the Tyranny Rabbit redesign touch-up is in first draft, because I actually do have something on paper. Yeah, I guess paper is a good way to put it. So I can work from there. That's it.
You have the old versions of the asset you can work from.
Yeah. And then Tyranny in Pocket, I think I talked about this with some people. Basically just a little Tirabit in a pocket. The pocket could be fake, or the pocket could be real. We don't know.
Yeah, I believe that came up last week. Some people were like, but I need a real pocket, though. And you were like,
Another one on the redesign list is the SWAT redesign, Special Waifu and Tactics. I do actually really like that idea, but I want to give it more glam.
I do think when we first brought up the joke, it was like, oh, we want to do like a tactical waifu outline on the back. And well, 2-ish years ago, that was a big ask for us.
Yeah.
So we've had it's shocking. We were able to have a merch store before we did big streams and had like super chats and stuff. Like, it was remarkably easy to break into that area, and we arguably broke in too fast because we've sold like products you can count on 2 hands on our Teespring.
Yeah.
Also, do want to throw this out there. If you actually give a shit about any of what I'm going to call our old designs, go ahead and buy them now, because at some point, Lucky's going to tell me he's sick of it, and I'm just going to be like, okay, and I'm going to literally throw all those away. Like, I'm going to trash every single entry. Right now, there's no point, because we do very rarely make sales, so there's no point in, like, closing a revenue stream, but I'm with Lucky that when he's like, nah, these are trash, get him out of here, and he's like, okay, let's just revamp. We'll just do it. I'll throw them all out, and we'll start from scratch.
Yeah. But yeah, so the SWAT redesign, because Mega, you said you like that one. I was like, no, I can see that. Because
I just like the joke of like, oh, you can switch weapons for waifus, and it works really well, especially with a lot of these gacha games, you know. So yeah, no, it's a funny idea that can be very simple.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, the T-shirt itself, like I put the difficulty at the complexity at high, because like I said, I gotta do. Here, let me tell you something. Even if it's just a nothing silhouette, it's still a silhouette. That's details and stuff that I need to do and make sure that the shadow is proper. Like, there's a bit of work that goes into it, but
as a person who's wanted to like turn other images into silhouettes without even having to draw the starting image, like no, it's some number of work to do those kinds of things.
Yeah, that the next two are ones that are complexity extreme, which means it's gonna be a long time before I actually get them. But they're one's called Fast and Feathery Chocobo Drift. It's basically just gonna be some big old text and a chocobo maybe doing some drifting. It's gonna be great. The other one is actually an FGO joke, Drunken Divine Underworld Drift. Basically, it's going to be an image of Ishtar, scooting on Mana with that. And like I said, I think those would be great for sure. It's just that the level of detail I want on them is way beyond what I can handle right now. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a while. And
also, depending on the titling of the chocobo one, that may or may not be too much for our legal department.
Yeah.
As our legal department doesn't exist, by the way. It's the kind of thing where I'm sure there's some version of that works out, but we would have to do the work to, like, figure it out.
Yeah. Next two shirts are actually text-based shirts. I think I talked about them. It's just going to be big text graphics, filthy casual, meta elitist. There's going to be in there if you want to rep what kind of playstyle you like.
Mm-hmm. Probably have to figure out some sick fonts.
Yep, that's kind of the problem I was having. Is I could do some basic ass fonts, but these ain't cool enough.
Yeah, I love hunting for fonts.
So those are all the shirts I have planned. Once we get them out, that's like 8 shirts. After I nuke the T-Priest storms, I'm probably at least going to try and get 4 to 6 of those up, just to have available immediately.
And probably do because I don't think it'll be super popular, but probably do another version of our quote unquote logo tee. Mm-hmm. Just something that says Studio Mega on it.
Yep. After that, we go into what I call icons. Is basically just the little things. Mostly this covers emotes, but if we ever do get into it, there's also things that could be potentially put on buttons, pins, maybe little stickers and magnets. Just little,
which are very popular.
Yes, so just little things, not very complex, that are fun. So the first two are touch-up packs. What I like to call Tyranny in Hats pack touch-up. This is where the emotes like Comrade, Behold, what do I call the other ones? Days Volt.
Days Volt. Yes, BT dubs. Lucky has a theme with Tier Rabbits. He likes to draw them in hats.
Oh yes, and what was it? Was it Time for Fancy?
Yeah, fancy. Time to get fancy.
Yeah. So I just have a bunch of them in hats. Touch that up. Like I said, once I get 4 to 6, I'll see about maybe a pin set, a button set. I don't know, I don't actually have to buy a button machine, or if Teespring will just make buttons for me. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure it all out. I suspect we are definitely underutilizing Teespring. Over the past couple of years, they've really exploded with shit you can do, like leggings, fanny packs, backpacks, all kinds of stuff. Masks, obviously. We're gonna miss the mask boat. I don't think we had a really good design to put on a mask that we could have been selling.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. But they actually have quite a wealth of different product you can do if you're not afraid to get in the builder and poke stuff. And we haven't had any really breakout designs that are more complex than text on shirts, so I have not really played with that at all.
Then after that, we have individual emotes I have to work on. The first two are great. I love the naming. The first one is Can't Even Tyranny. That's the floor tier a bit. That's face down though. And then there is What Even Tyranny, which is a floor rabbit but face up. Honestly, that I feel like these two might get used often in our Discord because there's a lot of floor chat. There's a lot of people talking for the floor. Usually it's lucky. A couple more emotes of that. Sub Tyranny and Vent Tyranny. These are from the Amungus jokes. Those are very simple. After that, on the list is the Studio Mega Badge Pack for memberships, whoever we would like to call them. Omega's stars are mocking me horrendously every time I see them. Mm-hmm. So
some people like them, but also we don't like them. I did it in a night because I was like, okay, I want to have actual membership badges, not just what YouTube does. Because those are okay, but they're just weird generic circle badge things with colors. I was like, I can make this slightly better. So I cut out a FGO star and I put them through a variety of colors. I wanted to do metallic colors at first, but I was like, this is really hard for me to just pitch shift on it. There's not like a metallic filter I can throw on shit. So I went for different things, different primary colors, because those were a lot easier to do all at once rather than individually recolor every pixel something vaguely metally.
Yep, so that's on the list. It will be done. Now, after that, we go into assets. Assets are basically things that we will use in, our social media, streams, posting vids, all that great stuff. Just a wealth of neat little things. First up, the Studio Mega schedule poster. One of the things I realized is we don't actually post our schedule anywhere. Like on Twitter, YouTube, whatever. So I think it'd be nice if we actually had a graphic. It was like, hey, we record on these days. You can see them post these days, and usually on these days we have these things. And we could post it basically to say, and you can say like, hey, I'm streaming this on this day. Mm-hmm. We have this on that day.
Yep.
And, maybe like talk about what videos might be released on what day. Something that will give people more time to know what is coming and, grab them and whatnot. More engagement and whatnot.
Yeah. I know that's for people who, it's more for streaming, but it's definitely something that people do regularly like to put out, and it is a thing we haven't been really doing. We do say in the show, obviously, but you're right. We don't have a graphic package that advertises this.
No. After that is what I call avatar stand-in. Basically, before on previous streams and whatnot, we would have like a little turbot and a sword just to represent us on talking. I hated them. I liked them for like 2 weeks, and then I fucking despised them.
That is one of the most artist things you've ever said, Lucky. I know so many visual artists who are like, I've done this design, I love it, it's my favorite. 2 weeks later, I hate this, I'm going to do it again 5 times.
I like to say, Lucky calls himself an artist, because I do believe I'm an artist. I just think I'm a horrible artist.
You do art, so
yes.
Yes.
So basically, I'm going to make what I call avatar stand-in, which are going to be basically Detective Conan black silhouettes. I'm just going to put fucking weird faces, like face masks on top of them, until I can actually get full designs of what I want. Which I think will be entertaining in its own right.
I mean, it's been shown by a lot of YouTubers, not just VTubers, but just a lot of people in general. You don't need to put your real face on shit anymore, but those people do usually have a logo or something that represents them, and that is something that a lot of our streammates have been without.
Yes.
And, technically, you could even, like with the joke you made about your cool rabbit cutout that was in certain thumbnails once upon a time, you could, if you get a good transparent image of that, you can shoot me that overlay, and I can, throw that on some thumbnails we do, or throw it on, layer it on top of a video asset, so it's still in some of our videos, like this version of this one, which is just going to be some kind of bed image now over this video, because the OG video we wanted to do is scuffed and gone.
If I had time, actually, hang on, I'm going to add another one here into our assets. Motherfucking technical difficulties.
I use for my streams, I have a very generic please stand by screen I throw over stuff. If we had, an on-brand one, that would be useful.
Mm-hmm. Like I said,
I'm not necessarily gonna. By the way, you came to me and were like, "Hey, I'm doing this list. If you got any stuff you want me to do or want to talk about priorities, let me know." And I'm like, "Okay." And by okay, I mean okay, I understand you said this. I don't think I have anything to say about it.
Yeah.
Usually we keep out of each other's workflow,
Mm-hmm.
Lucky doesn't pester me about my workflow, really, and I don't really pester him about his unless it's deadlines or anything, if those exist. I like to occasionally ask questions because I know sometimes that motivates Lucky, but I also try not to micromanage him at all because God, that would be awful for everybody. I wouldn't have any fun. Lucky wouldn't have any fun. Let's just not do that. But yeah, having just some little stuff sometime might be good.
Mm-hmm. After that, I have Tirabit minion decorations. Basically, just little fun Tirabit decorations I can put in streams and whatnot. Little graphics. Make them carry signs. Make them be hi. Listen, I'm going in the corner of this fucking evil but cute market here. I'm gonna do it. Now, this one I've tentatively called drone design because I said I want to do the exact same thing for Omega. I want Omega to have a small minion that, does stuff that pesters him and whatnot. And like I said, right now I'm not exactly entirely sure what this is. This is gonna be a while, but I've tentatively called it it's actually called drone minion design.
Options to Mike Radius.
Yes. Exactly. And then following that up, a drone minion decorations for all that fun stuff. After that, I have put a What's Up title card asset like I said, basically, maybe redo what we have going on for What's Up. This isn't going to be something that happens anytime soon. Like I said, this is literally going to have to happen after all the character redesigns and all that stuff happens.
Yeah.
So that...
Because right now the slide of What's Up, which maybe, I don't know yet, the video's not... I haven't started editing the video together, obviously, because we're recording this. Yeah. That may or may not be what you're looking at right now.
Yeah.
But it was very simplistic, and it was a very simple thing of like, hey, what can we do? What symbolizes What's Up? Well, let's put a stock photo of a couch in there, and then we need something to represent us. So Lucky is a rabbit, and I am a robot. Cool, got it. I put a little omega on my forehead. That's the symbol. I chose a couple of funny fonts, I drew an arrow very clumsily in MS Paint to show the up,
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. I put a thing in the corner, and sometimes when I'm feeling frisky, I'll, because I still make the What's Up thumbnails, I'll put something funny in there. Like, I think for the one when we were going to get released from jail, I, put a transparency of, prison bars over my face, and I gave the Lucky Rabbit a hacksaw.
Yeah.
Funny stuff like that. But sometimes I don't have ideas, so here we are.
No. There, that is. So, work on that. Only got a couple more there. The stream overlay. Basically, this might be for only when I'm streaming. I'm not sure. I don't know if we would definitely use it, for a Studio Mega brand, but, little boxes, little things, information on screen that people can see.
Yeah, I already have I have a dirt simple version of that for when I stream Among Us, because I need something to cover the room code, so, yeah, those are good.
Yep, and finally, technical difficulties, just a little things. I my immediate thought was a few Tyranny rabbits just covered in wires and just, panic and fire everywhere.
Yeah, very iconic.
Very iconic. So I was like, yeah, no, I had when we were talking about technical difficulties, like, oh man, that'd be a great image. Mm-hmm. Perfect. And that's what we got. So yeah, no, there are ideas in the hopper, and now they're written down, which means they are immortalized. Thanks, Google Docs. Keep everything.
So, not to sound like I'm putting pressure on you or anything, but where does making the wanted Mao Nobunaga you want to do fall on this list?
That's the thing.
Because that does have to be in the next couple of months somewhere. We think we're pretty sure. It is May now.
It is May. I'm not entirely sure. I'm really not.
That's fair. You got some stuff to chug through first.
Like I said, I still want to do it, but right now, because I have been thinking about it, I'm just like how much scale do I want to talk? Because you can talk almost an eternity about Mount Nobunaga.
Yeah, I may or may not want to talk about a documentary series about Sengoku period I talked about later. But spoilers, it starts with Oda Nobunaga unifying the Oda clan and ends with the Tokugawa shogunate. And Nobunaga doesn't bite it until I think the middle of episode 3 of a 6-part series. So, yeah, no, kind of a big deal. Though I do want to throw this out there, you talking about we've talked about, we don't always have the best work ethic.
No.
But sometimes we play with each other. I'm already thinking, because I've been checking the past couple wanteds. They're doing alright. Kama did okay. That got more than some episodes of, Let's Talk FGO we've put out lately in views. But also not, crazy high. Not like our Scotty video 5K. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that not as many people who aren't subbed are clicking on it. And I don't think that means that we're at the end of our subs, because we've still had some videos come out that, way blow out our sub counts. Even though our sub count is trending up. We're gonna break 3K soon. But my thought was okay, Lucky's talking about doing graphics and stuff. Maybe I need to revamp the thumbnail a little bit. And I'm already thinking about, obviously for the next one, but I've got a couple coming up whenever Lost Belt 4 comes out. I'm maybe next run I'll try and do something a little more clickable on the thumbnail. I'll figure something out, make it actual thumbnail, widescreen format. Maybe still do the sepia tone. Maybe not. I'm still rolling my own ideas around this. So it's always kind of interesting to see how we play off each other.
Oh, that's the best kind of thing, honestly. But
because you already mentioned the reason, I think the number one reason why you want to do membership badges is because I did some really shit ones, and I admit they're shit, and you're this offends me, and I'm no, you're right, Lucky, it bothers me too, but I don't know what I'm gonna do to fix them. So if you got an idea, go for it. Basically, yeah.
But that is that. So again, everyone, I hope you look forward to what I got planned, and I'm planning on trying to give regular updates. I was actually considering maybe making, I think to give people some more membership spice, I will post updates for memberships only on YouTube, which are only $1, so it's not that much.
Yeah. It's $1.99. But I do think that tracks because a lot of the stuff other than merch you're talking about is like, it's about membership badges and new emotes you'll get if you're a member. Like, obviously, you can get some of the stuff on our Discord. We, running this through our Discord, we get a lot of those slots. Thanks, Nitro. But on YouTube, it's definitely a thing where primarily it would go to members anyway. So that's a good use, I think, of membership-only posts and encourages people, because we do have a few of you out there. Thanks for that.
Yes.
Consider supporting us memberships. Which brings me to another point I want to throw out there. Like, you said, obviously, part of the reason why you need to take this time off is because you still work not a literal 9 to 5, but you work a normal job. So, the obvious thing out there is, like, if you actually want to see more Lucky and want to give him more time, you should support us. And obviously, specifically, you should support him. Like you said earlier, go sub to his YouTube channel, watch the goofy video of BB spinning right round. Watch it like 5 times. I don't know. He probably can't monetize that even if he became a YouTube partner, because that's hella copyrighted. But
oh no, yeah, no, like I already looked on it. It's already has like a claim on it or something.
Yeah, so we'll probably make whatever band it was that did You Spin Me Right Round a lot of money, but whatever. But also, obviously, this channel is monetized. Lucky does get a cut of that, so, watch our videos, throw super chats. Like, I don't do a deal where, like, oh, I only keep the money I make on my streams super chats for myself. No. All that just goes into a big Daddy Google Bucks pile, and I split it up. So, if you want to push that towards, like, doing that thing, which we've talked about, back us on Patreon, support us on YouTube, that kind of stuff all gets put together. Now, obviously, we have a little bit extra to go because we do divide it between the two of us, because, I also need to buy groceries and stuff. But I don't have to work a full-time job because my parents are nice enough to not kick me out and still handle some of the, like, utilities costs and, like, buying frozen shit to put in the freezer, because you can't order that on Amazon. At least not reliably, anyway. So, I don't have to worry about that end of it. My worry is if we don't make more money, I'm gonna be stuck here forever. I can't move. Which will be its own problem. But, yeah, if you... This is the real purpose of the shilling. Like, if you're willing to give us that juice, and, like, especially when Lucky comes out with those shirt designs, buy them, or I'll kill you. You'll just break Lucky's heart. I'll kill you. I'm holding an imaginary invisible knife to the screen. But that level of support for us is, like, what drives us to have more time and more reward on project. Like, I've definitely in the past had to, like, reevaluate doing projects, even if they were easy or whatever, and be like, this doesn't get anything. Like, I stopped doing some Star Wars videos, like, for miniatures games, because the views were so volatile, and I'm like, on the one hand, I like doing this content, and I have the time to do it, but there's just not enough reward in it, so I'm just gonna stop, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, like, it's kind of the same thing. You gotta choose your balance of your time, and... good on you, Lucky, for actually taking that hard look and, like, figuring, no, what I want to do is work on these projects. I'm gonna budget the time to do it, Like, cause, like, right now, I've already found some of the stuff, like, I have a lot of fun working on, as much as that also is full of tech diff. Like, that's the Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression Tournament video series that I do, which I, does take a decent chunk of my time. I basically have to block out an evening to record all that. And I record several smaller bits over the week, but, like, Wednesday evening is when we all get together, me and the other players, and I actually record all of it, and then I stitch that together over Thursday and upload it, which, can suck up some of my work time. It's very funny, though, because I've always thought of Thursday, because that was your stream day, as my day off, and it will probably stay that way, guys. I already need time myself already to work on my half of the project as well, so it's just kind of funny that now Thursday is just generically our day off, because we don't really do any productions.
Yep.
Other than, obviously, I call it my day off, but technically I do work stuff, because like I said, I don't stitch together the progression video that's like an hour long in the middle of the night, Wednesday night. I do that Thursday, but it's a lot easier when you have all the material recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Well, so I think talking about it's funny, talking about being offended by the membership badges reminded me of another thing. That's technically related to our thumbnail. Because there was a decent chunk of PlayStation news out there, to bring this back over to video games. And specifically the topic I'm talking about, where, like, talking about being offended reminded me of, like, just kind of a funny thing I noticed. Actually, the fun fact here is, I noticed this because, Yu Asakawa actually tweeted about that.
Yeah.
Medusa's VA, she also, like, streams on, like, Twitch and stuff, and, does some YouTube stuff sometimes, but, like, her English is also pretty good.
Yeah, actually,
it seems like.
I find it hilarious that apparently she was recently just handed an all-English script, and she was like, oh.
Yes, that's the level of quality where, like, she's getting hired for jobs that people are just handing her English scripts. So, but she commented because it's a new month. PSN is saying what's on for PS Plus this month.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed something. So in America, at least, North America, and probably in Europe too, but definitely in North America, they released the list of games. It's going to be Wreckfest. Gosh, what was the second one?
For us, Battlefield 5.
Battlefield 5. And then Stranded Deep. And now in Japan, it's, I believe, Wreckfest, Battlefield 4, and then it's not Stranded Deep. It's a visual novel called Coffee Talk. It's by an indie studio. I also believe, funnily enough, they are Indonesian, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a small little visual novel type thing. It's it's independent production. You work at a coffee shop and talk to people, and I'm like, that sounds cool. And obviously, Yu Asakawa was jazzed about it. That's why she was tweeting. She was like, "Oh, check out Coffee Talk. It's like got a really good soundtrack, and it's really cool." And I'm like, "Wait a fucking minute. Wait a gosh darned cotton pickin' second." Because we both have PS Plus because it's pretty important, I think, to the whole PlayStation experience. And we got eyes like hawks on free games because that's even
free
before
game.
Lucky took his break. That's like when it's free, but also streams and stuff like that. That makes a lot of things. Like I streamed Vampire for a couple of weeks there because they put it on for like October, and it was very funny.
Right.
Never did go back and beat that game. It's an alright game. It just didn't really suck me in as much as I think it wanted. Maybe when they do that sequel, it'll be interesting. So I was like, hold on a second, and I like looked it up and like. So, and I tweeted about this. So, in Japan, they get, like, a cool indie visual novel. And over here, we get yet another sandbox survival early access. Because I looked on Steam, it's still an early access, technically, game. And I'm just like, I'm a little annoyed by this.
Well, that's markets for you.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, honestly, the VN market has definitely been growing westernly, but like,
yeah, hell, Nintendo's releasing a couple of like English ports of some old Famicom VMs, aren't they, on Switch?
Yeah, no, like, I would only say like maybe in the past like 5 years have light novels actually made it kind of carved a spot in English, like, cause like even once we started having the oh god, I don't even want to know.
The anime fandom revolution has been in stages, right?
Yeah.
Like, once we got into the early, and especially to the mid-2000s, anime started to pick up, people started taking dubs more seriously, the sub thing kind of, like, blew up. Crunchyroll got their shit together somewhere in there,
Yeah.
And so that kind of took off, and we realized, okay, anime's a market. That, I think, caused a boom of manga, obviously, because that was, especially back then, that was a major source of anime. It still is, but, like, that was the thing, right? Was, like, adaptations of, like, Shonen Jump mangas and other stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the market in Japan has shifted a lot to the actual source as a light novelist, who may or may not get their start as a web novelist even, right?
Right.
A lot of them do. And then when your light novel blows up, that's when you get a manga and eventually an anime adaptation. So I think it makes sense, right, that as we slowly follow that curve in the West, obviously, light novels have started to come over here. Yeah.
And honestly, I kind of want to put visual novels in the same kind of category as light novels, because there's a lot of adaptations of anime and manga.
There certainly always has been a VN adaptation market.
Yeah, I mean, heck, Fate.
Yes, Fate.
Like Fate, there's a lot of VNs that you can just trace some anime back to, but like you said, the market wasn't never particularly big. Like there'd be little indie releases and then fan translations and whatnot.
Well, and I think you talk about fan translations. I think that's probably why VNs percolated so slowly, because they're unlike a light novel, which are written to be digestible and easy to purchase. They want you to go down to your local Japanese bookstore and buy like 5 and go home and read them all, right?
Right.
VNs aren't like that. VNs are like scaled like video games, so they're expecting you to put 20, 40, maybe more hours into this text-based game. So that's why I think there were, like, back in the day, you knew the really, really big popular VNs. Like, you knew about shit like, Clanad, Fate Stay Night, stuff like that. Tsukihime, obviously, also. Like, there's a couple of other titles that escape me right now, because I'm still a little blah. But you out there, if you've been an anime and weeb culture fan for a while, you know him, right?
Right.
But now, like, that percolation is happening. More and more people are aware of VNs. There are Western-style VN games that are coming out. You can buy, like, Nekoparas on Steam. There was that whole thing with Doki Doki Literature Club that we don't talk about.
Sorry, it was auto-discussed.
No. Audience at home, if you haven't heard that before, Lucky really doesn't like DDLC, and I already had the twists and stuff ruined for me, and I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
As like a horror concept, that's cool, but I'm like, that's not why I want to buy a visual novel.
Yeah.
So the mystique is gone, guys. But it's still it's a big market, and like we said, like obviously, we're getting that point where like Nintendo's jumping on, so it's a difference in the market, but it's definitely the kind of thing where I'm like, because this Coffee Talk game does have a worldwide release. It was actually, I think, released like a couple days earlier worldwide, and like Japan like a day later or something.
Oh.
Interesting. Like there was a little bit of a gap because it's not originally Japanese. Like I said, I'm pretty sure the studio is like Indonesian, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little like, okay, I understand what you're getting at here, but like, man, that hurts a little. Not that I probably still won't download Stranded Deep because it is fucking free, despite my fight with the ocean. But Subnautica is way cooler. So that was just a thing that brought up, and I believe my tweet. I was like, I may have to buy this game in protest. That's how annoyed I am by this. Also, because it seems cool, and I might actually want to try it out.
I've been meaning I need to actually play more visual.
I got a couple of things in my. Oh, hold on. Okay, I think my Discord lagged for a second.
I keep meaning to, but again, that's a time sink. I'm gonna lag.
I'm not. Let me reset me really quick on Discord.
Righto.
All right. Discord, are you picking me? Okay, yeah. No, lights are lighting up. That means I'm coming through properly. Okay. Where was I going with that? Oh, I think that makes a springboard, because I was going to mention that, start of a new month, there's definitely some stuff. We started the show off by talking about Returnal and how we're not quite ready to purchase that game yet.
Right.
There are a couple of games that are happening, and there's a spring sale on PlayStation Network is one of them. I think I did already buy Dragon's Crown Pro for like $5. That's a game I've always been meaning to buy, and when it's one of those things, right? When they throw you out a deal that's like $5, you're like, well, fuck, why not?
Yeah.
And I haven't bought it yet, but I am planning. I do believe it's like half off for the. They've got a PS4 version of the Jak and Daxter collection. I believe it's called Jak and Daxter Bundle, which is all 4 of the good Jak and Daxter games. Not Daxter, which I don't know if it's good, but is eternally consigned to PSP hell, and not Jak the Lost Legacy, which is made by a different studio and definitely wasn't very good. I know because I own it. So it's Jak and Daxter, Precursor Legacy, Jak 2, Jak 3, Jak X. And it's like 50% off. It's $20 for this PS4 bundle. And I'm like, I need that. I have the PS3 HD collection, but that doesn't have Jak X. And obviously I physically own fucking Jak X, but I haven't had a working PS2 for literal years.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna probably go pick up that bundle too.
No, yeah, I'm like, it's there. And again, we talk about the projects, we want to stream what we want to do. Sometimes we do got to take some time out. And I don't think you mentioned this. You did say, Lucky, that you are still open to some like guerrilla streaming if we've got a day free, right?
Yeah.
And I even too, like, I did a just what I call the guerrilla stream. I randomly streamed the other Wednesday. That didn't work out today, this week, because we had stuff to do. But like, there are some projects that we want to do, and I don't even know if some of these we want to stream. Like, we may actually want to take these we may want to wait until we have a studio and actually get together to do this on the couch. But Jak would be another really good retrospective series, I think, for us, because, man, I really like those games. I know those games in and out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
And I know you appreciate them as well.
I do.
And they're pretty cool for a classic game series, and I'd love to play them through. But also, I don't know if the can only play for an hour thing would work out. Well, actually, if we both own the game, it's probably longer, isn't it?
I don't know.
We'd have to check. Because the reason why it's like, well, you only give you an hour is because you don't own a copy. But maybe if we do play together and we both own it because we would both buy it because we like Jak and Daxter and we're animals, we could share. But like, there's section of Jak 2 where it's like, the controller's got to be passed, That game is fucking hard, and they know it. So, like, there's times where, like, if we were doing a stream or a Let's Play, it would be like, I can't even, man. I can't even right now. Take the wheel from me. So, yeah, it would be something we'd want to consider. But that's a good purchase. I'm keeping my eyeball on that. Steam's also doing a sale. They're going particularly crazy with some studios, I know. I've even seen a couple of my own things on the wish list I want to pick up. So I'm eyeballing things for this month once I've got the budget for the month sorted out. Like I said, I have to buy food. I need to make a grocery run soon myself, so I try to be smart with my money. Try.
Well, he's probably going to try my games, but I'm going to have a hard time not buying at least some sort of Nier product.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to be picking up a little bit of that, but the rest is probably...
Oh yeah, no. You talked about like budgeting out the Nier books you want. I didn't want to interrupt your flow, and then we started to get into some of our tech diff. But it reminded me a lot of a thing I did earlier that I'm not done with. But I budgeted out what my complete Red Eyes collection for Yu-Gi-Oh would be. Like I looked up all the prices on all the cards I want, and I've actually started chipping away at it. But some of these are actually worth quite a chunk of change. So yeah, I understand that. Like I want to work through this list over time. Get some things, get some stuff.
Yeah, because here's the thing, people here's the problem I have with purchases.
Mm-hmm. No,
people are like, oh my god, I need the shit. Shit's gonna go out of stock, and no. So I'm do me forever. People think I'm joking when I say I'm gonna have a mausoleum. I have all my shit put in. No, I am. I'm gonna fucking do it.
I mean, you can get away with anything in your death wishes. There are people who get turned into bullets. There are people who get shot into space. Like you can have a mausoleum filled with this shit.
Yeah, that's my goal.
Yeah, it's definitely like when you're trying to do a collection, right? Mm-hmm. No matter what purpose. It's one of those things where like you don't necessarily care when you get it done, but you do want to get it done. And like I think you were saying in there. Sorry, I had a little cutout. I had to reset Discord. You always got to be careful about the whole like going out of stock. Now you can't find it anymore. Mm-hmm. I've had that with a couple of books I wanted to buy, and I'm just like, will this ever be reprinted? I don't know, because people are. I mean, obviously there's a higher dimension, right? Like producing product, doing a print run or whatever. Takes money, it takes storage space and stuff, but I also feel like there are some times when there are producers who are just like, we only did our one run, it was limited, well, fuck you, bye, we're out.
Scarcity bitches.
And I'm like, for you producing a product, that's fucking dumb, because scalpers exist, and you're feeding them. You're feeding people who are assholes when you do that, right?
Right.
Like, if you genuinely can't afford another print run of your book, okay. But if your book fucking sells out, right?
Right.
And you don't want to do another one, like, I want to, I talked about this. I have a certain, I don't know why, I guess you'd call it a weakness for the Sisters of Battle. I don't know why nuns with flamers are cool, but I'm like, it's pretty rad. I like it.
Hey, I'm not gonna knock it.
So they did a physical print run omnibus of a couple of the, only ever major fiction stories 40K has done about Sisters of Battle. It's like a trilogy collection of stuff. Now, they're all available on the web, but you know who you're talking to. You're talking to Omega and Lucky. That's not always good enough. Yes, I like to look it up on the web sometimes, but I'd love to have a giant fucking paperback with, a Sister of Battle shooting a flamethrower on the front of it in my shelf. So, it was already pretty pricey, and then I just missed it, and it's, been sitting in my Amazon list, and it's only from, third-party sellers for, $100 or more now, and I'm just like, God damn it. And because it's fucking Games Workshop, they may not actually reprint it because they're fucking animals. And, their whole market share is built on these weird release schedules and shit. And I'm just like, I may have whiffed. We'll see. That or I gotta get fucking rich and I gotta buy it from somebody who's, sitting on it because there's no more stock. But okay, so that was collection stuff. Talking about a couple of games in there. Gotta budget some stuff out. Oh, yes. Speaking of budgeting, I do want to try and... It's still a couple weeks away, but I do also want to try and pick up Mass Effect. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. Maybe it's because you haven't been playing Striker so much, Lucky. But my drive to get back into Royal definitely died a little bit. I have not found the thing to consume my time and also keep doing that. So I've been a little lax
unfortunately, friendship with Strikers has ended. New friendship with Nier is eternal. I'll get through it at some point, but it's basically going to be the same thing with fucking Royal with you.
Yeah, I know I want to get to the stuff, but it's just finding the time and the drive to sit down and play the game is sometimes hard. Sometimes you want something fresh.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I don't want to. Well, obviously, if I want to actually finish Royal, I wouldn't restart fucking Royal. That would be dumb.
Don't do that.
I've got 120 hours. I don't need to hit back. So it's kind of a mixed bag for me to figure out stuff. And I'm just having, like I said, I'm having a lot of fun. Just casually playing FFTA2 on my DS bolted to my fucking wall because the batteries. But I could definitely see me sinking some time into Mass Effect, especially because I've never actually played Mass Effect 1 because it was kind of that weird exclusivity thing for a long time.
I think I'm gonna. I was talking to myself. Maybe I'll think about getting the Mass Effect collection, but I think I'm gonna hold off on it for a while as well.
No, it's fair. Like we got to think about stuff. June's gonna be an interesting month because that will be. We talked about this on Let's Talk FGO, but we will mention it as well. The Emiya Gohan game has been confirmed; it's coming over here. Yeah, and they've got a date. It's in June, so that's a game that maybe not necessarily a 100% a day one purchase, but that's a big thing for me. And Lucky as well. I'm eyeballing Pokemon Snap as well. Yep. It did actually come out. People are raving. That's not a high priority buy for me though. Like that'll be cool. I like that game as a kid. So you got to think about stuff. June is also, I believe, that'll be the full upgrade for Final Fantasy VII to PS5 and the Intergrade release and the Yuffie DLC as well. So I'm like, that's gonna be. I'm gonna have to spend some time doing some replaying some chapters, doing some bonus shit. Then it's gonna be super pretty.
Yep. Like I said, I'm trying. One of the things I've decided is I've been collecting video games, but unfortunately at this until this point I've been yeah, whatever video games I can get my hand on, whatever, this is great. And then realize I'm looking at all these video games and I'm I don't actually give a shit about these games. So yeah, I'm definitely considering my future game purchases and I'm Maria Conding this and does this spark joy? No? Eat it. And I'm doing that trying to do that for future game purchases right now. I think I was looking at it do I give a fuck about the Spider-Man games? The PS4 one, yeah, sure, but not the fucking PS2 ones. I never played them. I never touched them. I don't care about them. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, Sonic, most of the Star Wars games.
Star Wars games are a very strongly mixed bag.
Yeah.
Although that does remind me, I would like to throw out. I think I retweeted this, but apparently there's a PS4/PS5, obviously because backwards compatibility. Yay! Port of Republic Commando that finally came out, and I'm like, damn, I gotta get that sometime. I will not stream that game because I will get hella Disneyed. As much as I like Repcom, I don't know if it'll be a good stream game because it's mostly you just for mooks you just completely kick their ass, and for everything not a mook you mostly spin in circles, firing wildly, going
good old. I remember that shooter formula.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's a super battle droid. He's got to be super. It's going to take me 5 million bullets. I'm out of bullets. I'll punch him. And then B1 battle droid is just blam, blam, fall over. It's a cool game and it's an interesting aesthetic for Star Wars historically. I don't know if it's a great game gameplay wise right now. I remember people saying stuff man, this game's gonna fuck your shit up because it's an early to mid 2000s shooter. Yeah, it will. But speaking of PlayStation though, one of the things, it's in our thumbnail logo. One thing we definitely wanted to talk about that hit recently was Sony decided to do a Ratchet and Clank live stream. I mean, a state of play. Now let's be real. I had to go back and watch the archive because it was kind of short and I missed the beginning. They do say at the top that the goal of this is to give you 15 minutes of never before seen gameplay of Ratchet and Clank Rift in Time. So they know what they're about. But also, guys, you could just do that on your own. You don't need to call it a state of play.
Yeah.
Not that I want to diss the actual new news that did come out, right?
Right.
Because it was, it's really interesting for us because it was PS4/PS5 port of Subnautica Below Zero is coming out.
Yep.
And also regular Subnautica is getting a free PS5 upgrade, which is actually really interesting. I think it's going to be in a couple of weeks. I hope I'm still streaming Subnautica so I can share that off.
Yeah.
I probably will be. I'm only playing for 3 or 4 hours every weekend. Subnautica is fun. I'm having a blast streaming it, but it's not always a fast game. Sometimes it's oh shit, I'm doing a lot of plot. Last stream I was mostly focused on base building, but also I got some radio calls that involve some timers that show up on screen. So that caused plot to rapidly develop for I think a straight hour of the stream was just plot, 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 plot. And then you hit the end of that plot and it's and now you have to go 1,000 meters below sea level. I'm well, fuck, that's gonna take me a while. Subnautica has this really interesting kind of very organic, very diegetic plot design where it throws stuff out at you to prompt you to do plot stuff and actually get into the narrative. But the ratio at when that stuff comes up is can be very far apart. So it's okay, you're doing stuff, hard stop. Now you gotta go fuck around in the ocean for an hour or two. Alright, cool, blah, 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 blah. Stop, fuck around in the ocean. So next stream will be more fucking around in the ocean. So, but I think I will still be streaming, and I want to see that free upgrade. And I don't know. Below Zero looks cool. I may jump right into that as well. When that comes out, I may just go from one game to the next.
That's life.
It's that can be how it goes. That can be a good stream. So people seem to like Subnautica, so that was good. And then, well, not necessarily relevant for us because we full blown play Among Us on the PC and can stream it. But Among Us is coming to the PS4, PS5 with some Ratchet and Clank accessories. That's neat. More Among Us is always neat. And like I said, it's always good to see those guys hitting it up. And then they showed Ratchet and Clank stuff, which, it looks nice. I've never been a big Ratchet and Clank guy. I think I've, casually played a couple of the games, but never, really got into the series.
I missed that boat on the PS2 era, but, I got it, when they did the game based on the movie based on the game. I got that. I'm like, no, this is alright. And like I said, for a PS5 game, it looks like it's fairly interesting and has a lot of neat stuff in it, so I'm like, I don't know if it'll necessarily be a day one buy, but I'll definitely pick it up at some point.
It's the kind of thing where, for sure, if it showed up on PS Plus in, a year, you'd be like, ooh, hey, free Ratchet and Clank. It's the kind of thing you keep your eye on, but it's not a day one pull, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to say they're not doing stuff, I'm just not very familiar with the franchise. I know that they did a girl, and I know the name is Lombax, because I wanted to actually get some ears for the thumbnail, but I could not find a good cutout image to slap on there, so, you got what you got. They're doing some funny plays. I've seen some people joking about, if there's gonna be, a Jak and Daxter cameo in there. I don't think so, because that's technically Naughty Dog.
Like I said, they're both
they're first-party Sony studios now, so, some funny jokes, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And, if that was a build-up to, we're gonna, do a big refresh of Jak and Daxter, I'm there.
Listen, I would love a AAA Jak and Daxter, y'all. Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
Stop being hyper-real.
Give me a new one. Stop remaking Last of Us again. Stop. I know you've got a good IP, but you really slammed that one home pretty hard, guys. Not gonna lie. It's very groundbreaking. You won a lot of awards, but there was a lot of big energy in Last of Us. It was because it was Last of Us, and then we immediately went to PS4 generation and remastered it, and then we did Last of Us Part 2, not too many years later. Shot it home. Now there's talks of remaking it. They're doing a fucking movie. HBO series or movie or something.
Yeah, live action. There's that rumors about the remake. I'm sure they're also hard at work if they haven't already released a big PS5 touch-up patch, etc. Stop, move on.
Guys, you have other old successful IPs that you could probably make HD and make a lot of money on. As I'm in the PSN store putting Jak and Daxter in my cart, buying those games for the third or fourth time, technically, which I'm not afraid of. Lucky and I are both open about this. We're not afraid to buy a game 5 times.
Hell no.
I own so many different copies of Okami because I really fucking love Okami. Also, that studio, even though Okami was brilliant and it did actually sell well at the time, they technically they were Clover back then. They did go broke basically and remake themselves as Platinum. So I'm not afraid to show my love for Okami. Same with Jak and Daxter. Actually, I should check. Is there a PS4 collection of Sly? They did a PS3 collection, which was very, very cool for me. Sly Cooper's another old-school PlayStation series that I was really into. I should check. But yeah, keep your eyes on the ground for more sales and stuff. We're in a sales period, I guess. It's, a couple of new games are coming out, and...
Well, I think we're in the sales period because we're in Golden Week in Japan.
Yes, Japan likes to do sales then.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is around the time that spring break happens.
I know some people have already done spring break. Actually, what it is technically this may be what we're leading up to is the start of summer break, because right now I know a lot of people are in a lot of people in college anyway are in finals week. So it's the end of a college semester, which is that's a great time to try and sell cheap video games, because college kids are usually broke, but after they're done with finals, their brains are fucking nuked. They want to just have some fun. You can sell them some cheap games. I try to make a money gesture, but I don't know if that carries on my microphone very well. It'll probably get caught in the noise filter. Just imagine me making hand-rubbing money motions. But, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'm a little, I know they said it was going to be 15 minutes of Ratchet and Clank, but I kind of feel like they could have brought a bit more to that state of play. It was literally it was 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was 20 or 30 minutes. So, I appreciate that much like Nintendo's live streams that Sony has realized they can, softball a fucking video about one subject and get it out there and give us more press. It's always interesting to see because, E3's coming back digital this year. Which I do believe, I think Sony and EA are skipping. Nintendo will actually have something, but it will almost assuredly be whatever Nintendo Direct they were going to launch anyway.
Yeah.
So it's always interesting to see how they handle this, but I agree with you. It was a little short and to the point. They really could have done that at any time. Like, I can't imagine, right, that, like, Sony would have, like, blocked out a panel at a major, like, industry convention to do this bit, right?
Right.
Like, maybe if they were doing, like, an hour or 2 hour E3 presentation, but this, you're right, it seemed a little anemic. Especially sorry, I had a little bit of hiccups on this, especially considering that, this past month was, Oddworld, which was a game they were shilling really hard for a long time, and then there was, I don't even think I saw, like, Oddworld out now.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the state of play.
Yep, I think I said my bits about the indie. The Subnautica news was cool, and then Ratchet and Clank looks good. I'm not an expert.
I'm not an expert.
Excuse me.
What are video games? Let's ride boars! Mm-hmm. So, what do we want to move on from there?
Well, we could talk about TV stuff. You said you may talk about a little bit of anime, and I got some stuff to talk about as well. Mm-hmm. So we can jump over there.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
All right. Do you want to start, Lucky?
Right. Yeah, I can start off with a little bit. So out on Netflix now. I haven't got a chance to watch it, but I am excited about it. Netflix should have Yasuke. This deer is kicking my ass.
I have seen the Yasuke advertised on the Netflix splash screen. Yes.
Yes. Which is an anime produced by LaShawn Thomas. I think I'm explaining it anyway. Guy known for doing, the Boondocks, Afro Samurai, Cannon Busters, and something else. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. If it's an anime that seems to predominantly feature black characters, it's him. Like that's just the honest goddamn truth. He's a black guy who likes anime. He's like, I'm gonna put black people in anime, and he did it. And I'm like, good on fucking you. Because that's one of those things I always yell about people. If you don't like something, do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Be the change you want to see.
Mm-hmm. So, with that, yeah, I can't actually well, maybe I can. But, basically it follows the story of Yasuke, Nobunaga's, African, samurai. Apparently he was a slave from the Portuguese, and Nobunaga was like, I like this man. Give him to me. And they're like, okay. And, a bunch of interventions and stuff. And I'm excited about that. Like, luckily he usually doesn't really necessarily rep his colors, being a black man, because I usually try to say, it doesn't actually fucking matter what color my skin is. But Yasuke is such a unique circumstance in history and culture. I'm like, no, I'm excited about this. So I'm definitely going to be probably checking that out maybe tonight or tomorrow when I can. And hopefully you all do too. Like, I'll give you my thoughts, but I'm expecting it to be pretty wild.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I might have to go check that out just because it matches, funnily enough, with some of the stuff I watched lately. Actually, I can just jump into that. It's a short. So
go for it.
I've been hitting up the Netflix. First of all, Lucky, you'll be happy to know that I watched all of Way of the House Husband on Netflix.
Well, if you watched all of it, that means that you probably didn't hate it.
No.
Okay.
Well, and also it's really easy to watch. Basically, it was Sunday night after we'd done the game, which we do also want to talk about later. Yes. But it was quite long. But for reasons, I think I talked about it in the video release, but I ran CCleaner and some other stuff because I've been fighting my computer my own way that past weekend, so my audio settings were just not correct, so I only realized an hour or two in, the audio is just not capturing properly at all, fuck. So I didn't have audio to edit because it was completely scuffed. There's still a video version that went up for everybody, but so I found myself with a decent amount of free time, but it was also late at night, so it was what do I want to do? Well, I'll fire up Netflix. What can I do? And there was some other stuff I could have done, but I was like, you know what I want to do? I'll just casually sit down and watch some stuff on Netflix. And, Way the House Husband is there, they're selling. I'm like, I'll watch this. I'd read a couple of the chapters Lucky recommended before anyway. Mm-hmm. So, and I think you talked about this already, but no, the motion comiciness, which for people who don't know, by the way, I don't want to say, this is not like the year 2000, animated in Flash motion comic shit.
Yeah.
It's a deliberate stylistic choice. Characters do, in fact, move and express themselves when they want to, but the way this thing is animated and shot is very much shot for shot the panels of the manga.
Yes.
Which also means that the stories are quite short. they're adaptations of the manga chapters. It's my impression anyway is that it's not necessarily a very plot heavy manga. It's like very much like skits, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's a bit and then it moves on. So each episode is like 3 or 4 of these.
Mhm.
Each episode on Netflix is like 3 or 4 of these broken up. So yeah, it was just really easy to plug in, and it's only like, God, it's short. It's like, what is it, 6 episodes?
Yeah, they've already announced the season 2, so
yeah. So like more's coming, but like you flick that onto Netflix and you like well, yeah, I already knew this because I read some of the manga, but no, the addition of animation and voice acting does nothing to detract from this. The comedic timing is brilliant. The situations are great. It's just really good and interesting, and it keeps it together. Like the voice acting really sells it. The way oh gosh, name I watched this all in a blur in the middle of the night, so like character names are very lost on me. But the main character,
Tatsu the Immortal.
Yeah, the immortal dragon Tatsu. Like the way his voice actor just does that, like low and slow. What do you mean I'm scaring people? And then this was during the bit where his wife takes him shopping and they go through like 4 different outfits and she's just destroyed. She's like, I can't do it. I can't make him appear soft and non-threatening. And then he shows up with an apron of her favorite anime, and it's adorable. But no, like just the concept and the writing in this series is really good. So yeah, I recommend it as well.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a recommendation from both of us. Also, I realized to myself, this is a story archetype that I want to see in more like genres. Like obviously it works about like, oh, he's a super famous Yakuza locally who, like, decided to quit and, got married to his wife, who's a, career woman. She, works a 9-to-5 somewhere and just, like, throws himself wholeheartedly into the house husband thing. Oop, hold on. I'm gonna reset Discord.
Yeah, I need a bit of a clarity. Like, what part did you actually want to see more of in media?
Sorry, I had to reset Discord. You came through there, but yeah. Well, just like the idea of like I want to see this concept applied of like, he's a guy in a world, right? He's completely into this world, and then he just stops and completely turns his life around to perfectly normal shit. Like he, makes dinner, he does laundry, he goes to fucking like yoga classes with the housewives because he's the only house husband in the neighborhood, right? But also he's still a huge stone cold badass who don't take no shit, right? Like. It's a really interesting way they handle this and how his character is represented. We're like, no, he is 100% about his new life now.
Mm-hmm.
But also, that he's pretty for real, and like, I just love to see this, like imagine this sort of story with like superheroes. Like, you're a superhero, you go out, and instead of like secret identity and shit, you meet a nice girl, you get married, you just stay retired. You just do at home shit because you don't have time to do superheroing. Like that kind of stuff of like, this is a really great concept that people I don't think play with enough, and it works really well obviously for the way of the House Husband is written, because it's like I said, the skits are like so funny and a lot of it is very relatable.
like I agree, but like the way I think of it is a little bit different. Like because in a lot of storytelling and whatnot, stories are usually told from the perception of heroes and whatnot, not usually from the villain unless they're doing some plot related stuff. And usually some of my favorite moments in media is, especially anime, because I don't think they ever do this in fucking West. Well, I think they sometimes do. Is when they run into the bad guy who's just literally doing completely everyday normal stuff, living in actual life and stuff.
Yeah.
They're not living like, they're not in an evil lair cackling. No, sometimes they have to go down to the fucking laundromat and shit. Like, that's what the kind of
You're definitely right that's definitely like especially because anime and manga can be about anything. That's like a big trope you might see in a manga, like, because you can apply that to like a shonen battle anime, but also like sports anime. Like, you can go take a break from practice and go down to the Konbini and run into the rival team.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. Yeah. That's certainly an element of it, I think. Just, honestly, just in general, more characters, like, taking characters who are arguably larger than life, almost fantastical, right? Like,
right.
Like, Tatsu, they talk him up. He's a fucking Billy badass. He's the immortal dragon. He took out, like, a whole building full of dudes, which is not a normal thing.
No.
And here he is doing incredibly normal stuff, like, fixing his wife breakfast. Or he buys a lot of home shopping shit, and his wife's like, dude, you got too much shit. It's gotta go.
I think my favorite thing about the series is just how everyone else is just so chill with him, despite everything. Like, all like the other like housewives and stuff. It's like, oh, it's Tatchan.
Yeah, because he just fits so perfectly in.
Yeah.
And like I said, he really throws himself into doing the home spouse life. Like he's taken fucking yoga with them. He goes to their volleyball games where middle-aged gangsters show up as the other volleyball team because they need to relax too. I also like the skit they do where like he meets up with his old boss who is also retired and has an adorable tiny dog. They're just like fucking hanging out at the dog park.
No, there's definitely one fucking. I hope they do for season. It's great, which also involves dogs.
Yeah, like just the way they take a lot of these characters who should be more fantastical and are just like, nah, they're just hanging out, making lunch. He runs into a guy from another rival school who's like got put in prison and now he's reduced to being a crepe cook in a fucking curbside, like stand. I think he's selling them out of his van or something.
Yeah, so they have a duel and post that shit on, like, Instagram.
Uh-huh. And they get fucking no action on Instagram. Like, it's decided by the fact that Tatsu gets, like, 1 like. Oh, it's great.
Probably from his wife. That's good.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I bet it's from his wife.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, so check it out. It's really good, and I'm glad there'll be a second season. Like I said, I wasn't, like, concerned, but I was definitely curious how the motion comic aspect would play out, and I'm like, nah, it's fine. There's still animation and stuff here, and like you said, I think last time you talked about it, they put a great effort to do all the, like, manga sound effects, like, drawn on screen, all the automatopoeia.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, it flows really well, and they're just short comedic bites. It's like, actually, it's like, the old, like, the way Agretsuko started.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which was also, like, very, shorts, so it's the same kind of thing. They're short, they're to the point, you get like 3 or 4 skits an episode. You get out there, you do the stuff.
Yeah, well, if we're still talking about Netflix, throw it out real quick. They have announced that they're doing their next season of Castlevania.
Mm-hmm. I believe it's going to be their last.
Yep.
I will probably just wait until that final season because I still haven't gotten around to watching it, so I'll just binge everything when it's done. The great Netflix classic. I want to throw this out there. I know some people think it's a pain that like Netflix doesn't release any of their anime until they're done with it all, and it is kind of annoying. But like, God, there's a lot of shows that really are just better when you can just watch all of it.
I think I've made my peace with Netflix mostly, but yeah.
It really depends on the show, which is the unfortunate part. Like,
yeah,
some shows are way better. Like Disney, I think, has recaptured this with some of the Disney Plus stuff they've done. Some of their shows are like way better when you actually get the week to week, and you get the week to like sit and think about it and talk with people. And then other shit, you're just like, just feed me all of this. I'll watch all of it at once,
Mm-hmm.
But I've also been watching some non-anime on Netflix. But one of those things is actually related to what you brought up with Yasuke. I talked about this, this documentary series. I don't know if I want to recommend it to the general public. It's interesting. It's about 6 episodes. It's called Age of Samurai: Battle for Japan. Yes, it is kind of that cheesy, like, I don't think it was produced by the History Channel outright, but it's like a History Channel miniseries type shit.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky, you may want to check it out, just because I know you're a huge weeb like me, so you'll probably find it interesting. But I have mixed feelings. Like, it's a Sengoku period piece I talked about. It starts with Oda Nobunaga takes over control of his clan. Like, Nobunaga's father dies, he's the heir, and then ends with the start of the Tokugawa shogunate. So it goes through that whole period, ending up the war and wrapping up.
Are we talking like post Battle of Osaka?
Yeah.
Shogunate? Okay.
They go in, it's very funny if you follow FGO because people you may know are major characters. They actually, in the last couple of episodes, they make sure to point out, yes, this is Lady Chacha, also called Lady Yodo,
Mm-hmm. Yodogiri. Yep.
We're doing things, talking to her son, all that kind of stuff. And so, like, yeah, no, it's full blown. That's where it ends. Is okay. All the other things have been swept away. Tokugawa Ieyasu is the big man. He takes the position of shogun. He is in charge.
Mm-hmm.
He is the winner, so to speak.
Winner.
But it's an interesting series, right? Because one, there are budget concerns. There's a lot of reused stock footage in the reenactment segments. Like I was, in episode like 5 or 6, the last couple episodes, and I'm like, I remember the shot of a guy on a horse or this guy getting stabbed from the first episode, because I watched the whole thing in like 2 days. So obviously you catch those things. It says it's a Netflix original, so I don't know if it ever aired on a TV, but it could also have been produced in like England or something.
Mm.
There's a decent split on the nationality of the historians they get. They did actually get a few Japanese historians to comment, which was good.
Mm.
Some of them spoke English, but some of them spoke only in Japanese with subtitles. So like that said, God, it's a very, it feels very like westernized, like documentary type shit. Like I'll throw out some stuff. Like some of these historians, man, guys, just go jerk off. Just go jerk off before you get on camera. Like, I understand you're stuck in a fucking museum or whatever, but like, calm the fuck down. Like in the first episode, they have the classic like, the katana is super cool, the greatest sword in the world. I'm like, listen, I'm a huge weeb. I know the shortcomings of the katana. They do at least shout out why the katana is really good for the samurai, because you can use it on horseback, right?
Right.
And they do go out of their way to be like, no, Nobu was like the arquebus, which is about to blow the fuck up, right? Like,
right.
Like, they make sure to talk about the tactics. But some of them are just so melodramatic. There was this one guy, I forget his name, but I fucking hated him. Every time he came on screen, I flipped him off, and I was like, I hate you, go away. Because he was like, his delivery at Lucky was the most deadpan, but the most deadpan British, because he's a British guy, obviously.
Obviously.
But also the most fucking extra over the top. Like, saying shit like, and the battle in the Iga province was a super genocide. It was very awful. Or like, and the smoke and the rivers of blood, it must have been like fighting in hell. And I'm like, how do you suck the fun out of being so over the top, dude? Like, and I don't know. Maybe it was his just delivery with the fucking lines they gave him on a teleprompter, right? But it just, no. Every time he was on screen, I was like, you're not gonna say anything that actually fucking matters for the history. When are you gonna leave? Okay, you're gone. Bye. Like, it's got a couple of that. I feel like there's definitely a little bit of a Western fetishization of seppuku in here. Like, I'm not going to say that the Japanese don't fetishize seppuku at times, but there's a lot of shots of dudes doing the seppuku, and they're very wrong. They're wrong because, first of all, every shot has the exact same, like, they do the manly grunting, and they do the fucked up faces, and I'm pretty sure the whole point of seppuku is you're not to show any fucking emotion. You're supposed to hold it in. And what you actually do when you historically committed seppuku was, if you were ever gonna like have second thoughts or show emotion, you have a second there. You have a guy there to cut your head off. No seconds appear at all. It's just dudes doing it alone in rooms with their shirts off. Yeah.
No, that's not how.
No. You have another guy there to like take your head off and make it a clean cut. Yeah. So that you don't suffer, because they understand that maybe you don't have the guts to go through with cutting, but this documentary is like, no, we're going to show dudes stabbing their own bellies. We're not going to show the belly cut, obviously, because we'd have to censor that. But we're going to zoom up on their face going through the motions, and then we're going to have them fall to the floor in a giant pool of their own blood. Yeah, it's like, there's a couple of these little touches. I think they're influenced by, like, Game of Thrones, maybe. Like, there's like a pointless sex scene in the first episode. Obviously nothing explicit is shown, but it's very clearly a sex scene. They use it to introduce Nobunaga's wife, and they're like, she was known as the daughter of the Viper because she was the daughter of one of Nobu's most hated enemies. They bang on screen and then it goes away, and it never comes back. She's never brought up again, so I guess the fact that she could have been a giant enemy wasn't relevant. Thanks, documentary. So like, there's a lot of these little things, like a lot of these scenes where I'm like, this just wasn't worth it. They do some interesting things with, like, casting, right? Like the guy they catch for Akechi, obviously I assume Japanese people, because they only speak on screen in Japanese, right?
Solid.
So that's good. There's no, like, overdubbing. The subtitles are also usually pretty close together. Like, there's a couple of cases where it's not literal, but it's still pretty good. You know, we've been talking about dub titles and stuff. It's a pretty good subtitling. They do some interesting casting choices. Like, the guy they got, though, for Akechi Mitsuhide, like, they make him look like a little bit of a dingus, because, of course, it's Mitsuhide, you know. They did an interesting thing with the guy they cast for Nobunaga himself. They went for a little bit of, like, a wild man look. Like, he's constantly got, like, a loose ponytail, or just shaggy bedhead all the time. I'm cutting out. Hold on. Let me reset, because Lucky sounded like he was saying something important there. Alright, I'm back. What were you saying, Lucky?
Well, so it makes sense, because Nobunaga was a delinquent in his youth. He was a kabuki mono.
Yeah, they talk about him being the fool of Owari and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that definitely sells the visual storytelling. Also, I don't know if it was in this guy's like contract or this was just something that the documentary makers thought would be cool, but every opportunity to show him shirtless, they did. Like, there's a couple of, Nobunaga Fundoshi shots. There's a lot of shots of him just lounging around like a motherfucker in like a loose robe. But they do it to like sell the thing. Everybody is constantly slamming back the sake, which may or may not be accurate. But they get some very like nice, dignified looking dudes for like to play like Ieyasu and Hideyoshi, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do a great dye job on Hideyoshi when he ages up, right? Like he starts out as a normal guy and then they go back. So it's they also definitely the costuming department definitely tried to like take some cues from some famous paintings of those guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
That said, there's also the classic problem everything has: nobody wears a fucking helmet ever. Like a couple of times they're showed holding their helmets. Like there's one shot of Hideyoshi like grabbing his helmet and strolling to the battlefield, and he's got the giant fucking sun ray on the front. He never puts the fucking helmet on though. God forbid we hide their face. So like it has interesting touches, but it also like I think it's pretty fair to a lot of people. Like,
mm-hmm.
I think there's a little bit of disconnect where like I said, at least one point somebody throws out the word genocide. Nobunaga definitely does some massacres. Let's not hem and haw.
No, yeah.
No, he was a very serious guy about putting his enemies to the sword. But they also make sure to be like it's one of those weird things where like they're like, okay, Nobunaga's massacre on Mount Hiei, right, was actually very bad, but not for the reason you think. He wasn't like killing some peaceful Buddhist monk dudes. No, Buddhist monks in that time period were a fucking political arm and were militarized.
Yes.
But also, he stabbed a lot of innocents doing that. Like, It's very weird where they have to, like, explain how it's a bad thing, but in the right context, right? So, like, shout out to them for, like, at least trying to explain the context. Like, I think 10 or 20 years ago, you could have done a cheap documentary where it was just like, Nobunaga was super evil. He was a real bad guy because he killed Buddhist monks. No, those motherfuckers were an army unto themselves, and they did not like Nobunaga.
No, literally his campaign stalled for several years because they were all like, fuck you, Nobunaga.
Yeah, he was stalled out for years dealing with the Iko-Iki and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like, he fucked up Iga province because they were constantly raiding his supplies, and one of his sons went in there and absolutely embarrassed his own ass.
The Iga province. Have you ever heard of the fucking Iga ninja? Fuck,
yeah,
man.
That's those guys. That like the legends are exaggerated from them, but no, they were fucking mountain men. They were hard-ass, woodcutters, fishers, etc., living up in the mountains of a tiny-ass province, and they weren't afraid to fuck your shit up if you invaded.
Yep.
So, like, no, it's like, there's some interesting stuff in there. They do some good portrayals, like, I knew Date Masamune was cool, right? But, like, they definitely do a lot of work in the later half of selling him, and like, man, nah, that guy's a G. Like, cutting his own eye out because it's disfigured, When Hideyoshi, like, is fighting the Hojo clan and he's like, all other daimyo, please show up to this siege, otherwise you're fucked, basically. And, like, Masamune shows up late, but he shows up wearing just his wakizashi and a white robe, and he shows up and he's just like, alright, if you think I came too late, fucking kill me. You won't. And then Ieyasu steps in for him and he's like, he's here, it's fine, it's okay, Like, nah, he was a cool guy. But you bring up Yasuke, right? Who isn't mentioned at all in the documentary, and it makes sense because I don't think he does anything like of deep historical significance in the time period, right? Like most of the name-checked characters are Nobu's like top generals who go on to fight it out after Nobunaga is dead.
Yeah, if Yasuke actually had any. A lot of people have theorized that Yasuke might have been fucking Nobunaga's second when he committed seppuku at Honnoji. But other people also believe that his page, Ranmaru, might have also played that role. Yeah.
It's very unclear.
Yeah.
Again, by the way, no second at all mention of that. Also, I don't even... they show scenes of shit being set on fire. At no point do they mention that the Honnoji temple was literally burning down as Nobunaga decided to end it all. I think it was a little drastic. I do believe it mentions Nobukatsu. It mentions one of his brothers tried to rebel, and Nobu dealt with that very swiftly. It also mentions that he had a war with his one of his cousins to control all of Oda province. Like, that's his first big military victory. though we were talking about Yasuke a little bit, they make sure to mention how, like, as much as Oda Nobunaga is a mixed historical figure, people at the time period called him, you know, Demon King of the Sixth Heaven. They throw it out there. They even read it in Japanese. Dairoku Tenmao, you know, like the Demon King. They talk about how in one of his castles he had this elaborate, like, themes of the different realms getting more and more, like, divine. And at the top floor, allegedly, was his private chambers. The only decoration was a fucking mirror. Power move. Power move. When you get to the top, there is only Nobunaga. I believe that shit. Like, I mean, obviously you could talk, oh, he was crazy. He was a murder machine. I also believe Nobunaga could entirely have been like, oh, they want to call me the Demon King of Sixth Heaven, literal Antichrist? Fuck it, I'll take it. I'll take that bill if that sells it to my enemies, you know?
Nobunaga living his best life.
Well, yeah, because they do definitely talk about, and not in, like, a negative way, that, like, no, Nobunaga was a very pragmatic, open-minded warlord, right?
Fucking free guilds and open markets.
Yeah, he was the first major daimyo to adopt the arquebus, which, I think had been already around for, like, 10 or 20 years by the time Nobu starts coming up, right? Like, that was when the Portuguese first crashed on Tanegashima. And none of the other samurai daimyos really took it seriously as a military weapon. It was Nobunaga who really realized the potential of, like, oh, wait a minute, this is a fucking mass-produced weapon. And what he did a lot that not a lot of other people were doing was he did not just levy the peasantry, he treated them like professional soldiers. Like, during this time period, there were ashigaru, but a lot of them were just, like, levies. You would be like, hey,
here's
asshole farmer, here's a spear, go die.
Yeah.
Nobunaga's forces, the Oda clan, took it seriously to actually, like, train them. And they didn't mention this in the documentary, but I knew this. Oda Ashigaru were apparently notoriously shite for a long time, so Nobunaga actually took steps to, like, make them better.
Well, yeah, the Oda province is actually really small.
Yes, that's another thing. They do actually mention this. The Oda province is very tiny. And this motherfucker goes from ruling Oda to, like, controlling all of central Japan in, like, 20 years or less. It's nuts.
Well, because he did a power move, because another thing that Nobunaga was actually really good. He was really good at tactics and information gathering.
Yes. Very strong at the tactical. You know, in addition to, like I said, like, basically hiring peasants and rewarding them, Toyotomi Hideyoshi was a peasant.
Yep.
He wasn't even, like, a ronin, like, Akechi Mitsuhide was a ronin, right? Like, you know, Hideyoshi was nobody, but because he was skilled, he was good at his job, Nobu rewarded him all the way up the ladder to, like, taking him as a soldier, promoting him to one of his best generals, and eventually this motherfucker became Prime Minister of Japan. You know, basically the actual big chief.
Big chief. Enough
that he was able to order an attack on China through Korea that was super disastrous and he definitely shouldn't have done, but here we are.
Here we are.
They do mention, they take, like, half an episode to talk about the Korea campaign and how it was bad news bears. It was not good. The Japanese got nothing out of it, other than a lot of dead guys. And also in Korea and China.
Yeah. They still haven't forgiven each other.
Well, there was a lot of back and forth, you know. We talked about, like, Mongolia invaded Japan a couple of times. China tried to invade Japan a couple of times. I think the Koreans have tried to cross the channel a couple of times as well. Just, when you try and cross the Sea of Japan, it just doesn't work. Don't do it, guys. But yeah, so, like, they talk about this kind of, like, interesting thing where, like, Nobu was very revolutionary, right? Mm-hmm. Like, in a lot of ways. So and that's, like, a good, like I said, the first chunk of the series is Nobunaga rises to power, and then he just fucking vanishes. Because they talk about, like, Mitsuhide killed him, took over, killed Nobunaga's oldest son as heir. And then in 13 days, Hideyoshi had completely flipped this boat around, ran his ass down, and won a huge tactical victory.
Yeah, no, the great reverse.
Yeah. Jokingly, for a long time, Akechi Mitsuhide has been joked about as the 13-day shogun, because that's how long he got to bask in his glory before Toyotomi Hideyoshi turned that shit around and got him.
Like, you motherfucker!
Well, technically, he didn't get him. Apparently, the story, at least that was reported to me in the documentary, was that after him and the Toyotomi have a big battle, he's fleeing. He flees into a village. Some of the villagers spot that he's Akechi Mitsuhide, and they just stab his ass and present him to Hideyoshi. Which just, the cherry on top, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't even get killed honorably in battle or go out like a baller. He gets stabbed by some hidden peasants and jobs out.
Well, also, how much are you not like that the fucking peasantry We're like, fuck that guy.
The peasantry, by the way, who, after you have slain Oda Nobunaga, a incredibly contentious figure in Japan, are still like, no, fuck you. Even if it's like, oh, we gonna get paid for this, they feel like your enemies are in a position of authority to pay for your dead ass. And then basically, yeah, it goes into the Toyotomi period and then the Tokugawa shogunate, because they talk about, for instance, like, Hideyoshi's major wife was Lady Nene. She was very intelligent. They had a very great relationship. They did not have kids. It just did not work out.
Yeah, she was infertile, but...
So, then they bring up,
Cha-Cha.
Yeah, Lady Yodo, Cha-Cha, one of his concubines. They make sure to throw out also Oda Nobunaga's niece. They talk about kind of the difference between the two women's personalities, right? Like, Lady Nene was very polite, very reserved. Lady Yodogiri was a little bit of a prima donna, allegedly, very boisterous, very, very proud. And, they talk about how Hideyoshi's first son died as an infant, so he's, like, in a really rough way. He elects, like, one of his nephews, I think. We put somebody to sleep, Lucky. We have great power. That's a good episode. Did the ASMR. And so he has his second son, but his son's super young when he dies, and Hideyoshi does the smart thing, and he elects a council of elders, basically, to run the country until his son can come of age. And there's a little bit of contention about this, but it honestly, it's very interesting, right? I think the through line of this documentary is that in the Sengoku period, if you just wait your turn, you'll do okay. Like, everybody who tries to take a shortcut gets booped, right? Like, Ketsu Mitsuhide decides to rub off Nobunaga, 13-day shogun.
Yeah, let's see, Mitsunari fucking bought it.
Yeah, Mitsunari's a big one. There's a couple of others. Like, there's several people, some of whom I'm sure the documentary doesn't even mention, who are like, they try to take a shortcut and just got rubbed out. The guys who win big is Nobunaga's, slow rise, Hideyoshi taking it over, inheriting that for him, even though he does have to fight, several of the Oda retainers. Same with, like, after Hideyoshi moves to the Tokugawa shogunate, basically, like, in name only. And, like, the smart plan would have been for, I think it was Hideyoshi's son, to wait it out, right? Wait until Tokugawa Ieyasu dies, because Tokugawa Ieyasu has been playing this game a long time, and he's good. He was a decorated commander for one of Nobunaga's major enemies, and, like, Nobu actually, like, took him in. He's like, you're great. I like you. You're going places.
Actually, they had actually a really solid relationship, if I remember correctly.
There's a lot of, like, post facto justification for Mitsuhide, because I don't think Mitsuhide lived long enough to write down why he decided to fuck over Nobu.
Yeah.
Like, once he decided to do it, he didn't really leave it. There's a lot of excuses, like, they apparently did not have a good relationship. Like, Mitsuhide was berated a lot by Nobunaga. He had a much better relationship with Ieyasu and with Hideyoshi. Mm-hmm. There's also a lot of talk, Akechi Mitsuhide was supposed to be a very devout Buddhist, so obviously he may have expressed some public discomfort with the fight with the Iko-Iki. There's even allegedly a story that one of the Buddhists one of the civilians that Nobunaga killed was Akechi Mitsuhide's mother. That's not proven, though. So, like, it's still very unclear, but, like, he had a very good relationship with a lot of his other commanders, but Ieyasu was very good at his job, very good at what he did, because he lasted to the end of this shit. So, the smart plan would have been to wait until he goes and, like, take on maybe one of his sons, right? Then you're like, alright, wait a minute, well, now the big guy's dead, but I'm of the Toyotomi. But, among others, Lady Cha-Cha herself pressured her son into, like, no, you gotta declare that you're the boss now, and it did not go.
No, it did not.
Ooh. Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's where it ends. It ends with the big battle at Osaka Castle. Everybody dead, Dave. Tokugawa shogunate.
2 sieges of... And I ran a boar into a wall again. Good job, Lucky.
So honestly, like, I've summarized the whole period. You don't even need to watch the documentary now. But, like, it's parts of it are good. And actually, like, some of the reenactment, like, there's some fairly decent choreo and the swordplay and stuff in it, right? Like, they do... What budget they had to shoot that footage is good. The costumes look really good, etc. They eventually run out of budget, I think, because they reused a lot of that footage. But it's decent. They talk about a decent chunk of the tactics, which I like. But other parts of it, I'm just like... you're just trying to sell this really hard to, like, an American at-home audience, I guess.
Baby's first Fingoku.
Yeah, basically. Still cool, but, like, And like I said, if you're an FGO fan, which most of our audience is, probably, you'll find it very funny because it name checks a lot of characters you know. The other thing I watched on Netflix, which I'm not going to talk as long about, is I was just like in a documentary mood. You know, Netflix queues up another one, and I watched The Last Dance, which is an ESPN documentary about it's really about the entire Michael Jordan years of the Chicago Bulls, but the focus of the footage is on their last year when they're going for three-peat championship number 2.
Mhm.
You know, Michael Jordan's last season. So that was just really interesting because I was born in late 92. So obviously I was alive during some of the best years of Michael Jordan basketball. But I wasn't really paying attention, and I wasn't in a basketball household. And I mean, I wasn't in Chicago either, so... So, like, obviously, because of shit like Space Jam and just in general, branding, I know Michael Jordan's good. And when you watch the footage of him playing some of these games and stuff, I'm like, all right, I don't know shit about basketball. I can tell this guy's good, right? Like, some of the stuff he pulls at the hoop is just, But so that was really interesting to watch that because I like documentaries in general, and I've been watching sports documentaries every now and then. So that's like, it was pretty good. If you haven't watched it, give it a watch. It's pretty interesting. You know, you get a breakdown. They do a good documentary thing where like everybody who's still alive in the present, they like grab and actually talk to. They sometimes are like have a tablet and they like take video clips from other people and hand them to them. Like at one point they're like, "Hey, Michael Jordan, look at this. It's a video clip we shot with the Bulls franchise owner talking about this bit." And he's like, "Okay, watch it." Stuff back and forth. It's pretty good. So, Lucky, to leave Netflix possibly, do you have any other anime you want to talk about?
Not in particular. Like I said, I give like reviews and whatnot, but I actually haven't written anything down. I do actually want to do them a little bit justice. So, like I said, what I'm probably going to do is I'm not going to like go just through balloons. I'll just do maybe a couple every what's up.
Yeah. Take time.
Like I
said,
said,
thoughts. Also, we've had a very weird day.
Yeah, we've had a really weird day. I've kind of lost the steam,
Yeah.
But talking about me, but next week I think I'll talk about Higehiro again. Now that we have actually passed like the 3-episode mark, I can actually give like they've actually have crystallized what they were going for, which is important. And there's actually some more stuff that I actually do need to watch. Like Shadow House, which has a really interesting premise that I actually want to get deeper into, but I haven't had the time for. And like a few other things. Like I've been mostly been watching things on Crunchyroll. I haven't really touched Funimation, so this is another thing in the project is I actually got to sit down and write thoughts and notes.
Yep. Collect your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so unfortunately, we'll skip that. We'll skip that, yeah, because Shadow House to Your Eternity, like there's some good stuff this quarter, and I want to do it justice.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we can move on from
anime and TV and stuff.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, let's take a quick intermission there then.
All right. Yeah, actually, I need to stand up for a second myself.
Yep. So we're gonna pause and we'll be right back to you. All right, and we're back.
We'll bark.
Okay.
All right. So real quick, I want to talk about gacha stuff. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So I got nothing to say about Azure Lane or Destiny Child except that I'm plugging away at events in them, and I really don't want this Amagi-chan to pass me up this time because she's so cute. But I do want to talk about Arknights and a little bit about Genshin Impact.
Okay.
So you guys might be interested to know that I haven't reinstalled Arknights and am playing it again. But this is for the unfortunate fact that we're in our anniversary right now, and they released Mudrock.
Yep.
I'm like, God damn it. No. Fuck.
They did the thing that you said you would go back to Arknights for.
Yeah. And I will tell you right now, I have not got me a Mudrock. Not yet. No. Nope. It hasn't happened. And I am trying my damnedest to not spend money. I've already failed at this, by the way, but not to the extent that people would think. I've only spent literally $8, which I will give myself a pass on.
I mean, yeah, that's like, what, like... Hell, that's smaller than, like, movie tickets, some meals these days, you know?
Yeah. I have not bought, like, any of the Prime. I've not, like... Yes. What I did, though, is... Because I did actually buy packs, but I finagled it. Like, cause since I'm on Google Play and stuff, I had Google Play points, and I had enough to buy fucking 20 fucking bucks of Google Play credit, and I had an $8 coupon for Arknight, so I was able to buy, like, the monthly fucking, headhunting pass with that. And plus what I had already, and, like, the $8 I was talking about, I was able to purchase the Doctor something bag. It was a little pack that you can only buy once. It was like $8. It had some original and some cash in it. And so I bought that. So I think I was like, actually, I think I'm up to like 61, because they have that thing where if you do like 300 rolls, you can just pick like one of the operators for free. So it keeps track. So I think I've done like 60 something rolls. I do not have a Mudrock. I did get the limited one though, somehow, which I'm just like, yeah, this is my fucking luck. I want the permanent one. They gave me the limited one, and I'm just all like, okay. I can't pronounce her name. I cannot pronounce her name. Don't expect me to. Just don't.
I'm not gonna ask you to pronounce shit.
Nope.
I know.
So I did get her. I mean, aesthetically, she's super fucking cool. She's, you know,
but we have no idea who that character is. It's the Arknight's problem. Who is this person?
I don't know.
Like when W came out, it was like, okay, that I understand. I follow this. I did actually play some of the story.
Yeah, like with like Mudrock, I'm all like, yas. Big mood. The fact that Mudrock's actually a big titty fucking woman in there, I'm like, yas.
Mudrock cool.
Yeah, Mudrock cool. But this other girl's like, yes, aesthetic, and like, you know, aesthetic is on point and everything. I'm like, but I don't know what to do with you. I don't know your life. What even?
Yeah, I am playing a little bit of the Arknights as well, because it is, you know, big day to log in. I put some time off to do some other stuff, but I need to make sure to log in and do some, you know, get your stuff in, do your things, all that stuff. So yeah, I've been trying to keep track, and I'm talking about, like, I have no idea what to do with you. I'm like, I got a lot of operators who I'm like, I have no idea, you know, what's up with you and where that comes in, kind of stuff. And I've got several of them who are like lagging behind, who I'm like, shit, I need to like get chips for you and stuff. So I need to dedicate some time. You also wanted to talk about Genshin, though?
Yeah, Genshin. So I haven't reinstalled Genshin, but I'm having the struggle, because they are doing something that I fucking love doing in games, and they give you a fucking house and a bunch of land, and they let you build stuff on it, and your characters will walk around it and stuff. I'm just like, oh no. Like,
no, now that you've said that, I'm like, oh no, I do love when they do that. That's something we've always talked about with like FGO. Like, you can do my room stuff, but like, there's a lot of games that have a lot more fun little interactions you can do with the base shit.
Oh, Romantis is chapter 7, so story. That explains it. Because I'm horribly behind on that.
Yeah, I'm not very far. Spoilers, I don't enjoy doing Arknight's main story content usually. I don't know why. Why could that possibly be? Everybody has flashbacks to fucking Frost Nova. One of my many reasons. So
they're doing that, and so I'm just like, oh, like I want to get into that. I want to do that. I want it. I need it. But I'm just like, I don't have time for that. I don't. I'm trying to figure out ways to save time so I can do other stuff.
I hate when that happens. Like, you've just had this big, like, metaphorical come to Jesus moment. You're like, okay, we're gonna do this. We've got our time sorted out, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, oh shit, here comes something to fuck up your time organization. I'm just like, what cruel fate is this?
So I'm just like, So I'm like, to be fair, I probably play more Final Fantasy than anything right about nowadays, but I'm enjoying it. I'm finally starting to slow down, but I'm still going to be at this for a few more weeks until I get caught up with content.
And then they're going to drop a new expansion.
On me, so I'm just like, heck. I'm pretty sure I'm going to, like, that's my plan. Once I slow down on Final Fantasy, which basically means I caught up the content and I'm not really... Listen, in Final Fantasy, I don't need everyone to be fucking max level. I really don't. Because in Final Fantasy 14, one of the interesting things is you can have one character, and that one character can be every fucking class, and you get them all those classes up to max level. So, like, oh god, how many classes are there right now?
A lot.
It's over 15. Combat classes over 15, and then there's like the crafting classes, all of them. One character. You can do that. And people have. I'm like, nope, not gonna do that. I do the ones that I like, and then I move on. Combat is 17? Oh shit, yeah. And then there's like, I want to say 11 crafting and gathering, so it's like 28 classes.
Also, does that either of you, does that number include the fact that they're adding like one new class with the expansion, or is it 2?
It's probably 2 to 3.
Yeah, so
yeah, and like,
yeah,
so more's coming.
That's already out. So yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot. So I'm just like, no, but like I got to catch up with story, catch up with raids, dungeons, all that stuff. Once I hit that point, I will probably play a lot less because I'm not going to feel the burn to do stuff. It's like, hey, let me just do some dailies, let me do some grinding, okay, move on. I'll probably pick up Genshin again. Because I do want to live on a place where all my waifus and husbandos can just wander around and chill.
I mean, yeah, that seems cool, and it seems pretty chill. Like, I think the reason why we both backed off Genshin was that even though Genshin is a good game, Genshin has good gameplay, they have actually decent writing, they do interesting character stuff, was just that, like, it's another gacha game, and it's got, like, the full breadth of a game, but it's still got all the gacha stuff. So it's basically like it's basically like playing an MMO anyway. You're already playing a major MMO in your life, and I've talked about how before I'm kind of iffy on MMO gameplay loops. So like it made sense for us to like kind of back off.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and if that's like if you're gonna like lower your time sink on your MMO thing to play something else, yeah, that makes perfect sense. That you're like, I can afford to play some Genshin, do some dumb stuff, build a house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how much longer I'll be playing Arknights, but at least I'll definitely be logging in at least until the Mudrock raid up is over.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're giving you a free roll every day, and I'm just all like,
yep.
I want it.
Plus, you can do any for so much a week. You get your extra logins, get your stuff.
Yep.
Reminds me, I need to log in today for Arknights. Haven't done that yet. After the show's over.
Yeah, but I think that wraps up my gacha talk.
Yeah. That's basically all I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
As well. Okay. So, as is usual with the show, we're gonna wind down, which means we're gonna talk about tabletop for way too long.
Yeah. We might. Like, we actually have stuff to talk about.
So tabletop is really interesting. It's usually fucking nothing, because there are a lot of episodes where, like I think last week we were like, well, the story arc's not finished. There's really nothing to talk about yet.
Yeah.
And, like, I sometimes like to tell tales from my D&D game, but other times it's like, nah, there's nothing to talk about. Technically, because it'll be shorter, I can actually mention something funny sort of happened with the way the D&D session went, because we're online, obviously, and we do use Roll20. Because Vesper is a whale of epic proportions and has like all the pro and all the other shit. But pacing wise, it was very funny. I think it was the first time I've ever had this happen in a game, at least in a long time, where we like phased in and out of the game like 2 or 3 times. We're all together in a voice call. We're playing the game. We take a break for like an hour, like tangent, and then we cycle back to the game and play for a little bit. Like we just got distracted because we're all hanging out, we're all talking about stuff, we're talking about things for a long time, and then we kind of wind out for a little bit, because it was at kind of a natural breaking point, because we play for like a couple hours, we like take an hour off almost for like talking amongst ourselves and stuff, and then it kind of ends, and at one point I'm like, because it's at night, we're camping, and it's like, okay, and I'm like, GM, do I get a long rest? And Vesper's like, not yet, you haven't actually rested yet, and I'm like, okay, that's usually a key sign. So I think I like jokingly throughout, I'm like, okay, well, maybe we'll take a break and I'll get some food. And we'll just yammer before. So I don't think we ever resolved, Dallas's character was on first watch, he rolled perception. It's like, oh yeah. And then Vesper rolls some more dice. And then we change it for like 30 minutes and like, hey Vesper, you rolled some dice like 30 minutes ago. Did those do something? And Vesper's like, oh yeah, they do. Do you guys want to like handle that? And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. My whole night's blocked out for D&D just in case. And then so we, like I said, we take like maybe an hour and a half divergent, and then we have a full combat encounter, and then we actually stop, which was like, it was all fun. We all enjoyed ourselves, but it was very weird. I don't think I'd ever done quite like that before.
Yeah, and usually once, the momentum stops, usually things just kind of peter out.
That is at least something you can say about D&D and several other of those really like combat structured games is like, like Vesper asks like, okay, do you guys want to just roll initiative or do you want to do it? And I'm like, now, fuck it. I'm not doing anything tonight. If we're going to roll, we might as well do the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it kind of like starts its own momentum back up. Had some fun. Did some cool things. Blew up some guys. Started some forest fires. As you do.
Oh, no.
We were attacked by a guy whose thing was to, like, animate plants. So we were attacked by, like, 2 treants and some not plant zombies. Some dead corpses that were animated by, like, fungus. So we had some fun. We have a Sork in our party makeup, so shit gets wild. But yeah, so with Star Wars this time we actually have some discussion points, some which are directly related to the game, and then some are part of our post-game carnage, let's call it. I think we did talk about this like way at the beginning, which is now like 3 hours ago, not counting the extra 10 or 15 minutes we spent wrestling with technical difficulties.
Yeah.
So to reiterate, for people who may have forgotten, like Lucky talked about how like he has a lot of time to just think about shit at work, and sometimes we get into the post-game carnage of this week's session when Lucky starts thinking about it.
Yeah. So, like, okay, so start off, we culminated the fucking, the counteroffensive. That's over, it was done, we're moving on. Overall, it was very tense. It was very tense for a variety of reasons. One,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I want to throw this out there before we talk about the definitely discussion, possibly at points in argument.
Yeah.
Never really heated, but definitely there was some discussion going on here.
Like, I think I put the way I like to put it is we both are firmly in our camps, but there is an overlap that makes a nice Venn diagram of where we definitely agree on some points.
Yes. And that's how gaming has to go. It's very hard to get people to agree 100% on everything all the time.
Yeah.
But I want to throw this out there that this is 100% a hindsight thing for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even me, I'm like, we're going to talk about some points, and I'm going to be like, yes, in hindsight, I probably should have done some stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Hindsight is always like that. It's 2020. In the moment, we were all super sucked into this. Like, it was, it was very tense. The mood was great. Like, we had a couple of, like, discussion breakdown points, but, like, for the most part, everybody was really into this, even me, as the dice are being rolled. So, like, I think as a game session, it worked, and obviously y'all can listen to it for yourself.
What's up?
Like, he's going to take a break. I'm going to show for our Star Wars AP. Though, In the Dark of the Night does have, like, 30 views, which is slightly more than usual, but, like, y'all should go, like, check it out. Like, you can hear the tension, I think. So, like, we were really in the moment. We were doing it, and that's honestly, like, for, like, role-playing, when you can actually get that immersion, when you feel in the moment.
I'll be right back, sorry.
Okay, he's going to be right back. I'll probably pause it, but I might vamp a little bit. But, like, when you're in that moment, everybody, that's, I think, that immersion is what role-playing is really good for. Like, some stuff it's just like, oh, this is very tactical, this is very, tickles, very narrative. But that immersive, like, acting thing is really hard to come by sometimes and put everybody in the story moment. So, like, overall, I think when Lucky comes back, he'll agree with me. The session was good. It's just, you have one of those things where you start thinking about how that went down after, and you're like, wait a minute, that could have been better, or that part was dumb, To briefly tangent about, like, D&D stuff, like, there have definitely been, like, times where we've played D&D sessions, and I've been, like, after we do a combat or something, and I've been like, wow, I was actually really fucking useless in that moment. That's kind of sucked. But, when you're in the fight, very rarely do you think about that. And that's where we are. So I think I will take a pause there until Lucky gets back, because I don't know what to talk about from here. Okay, well, let me get the audio rolling. I just vamped for a little bit about how immersion is cool, and it's what role-playing's about, kind of. It's one of the really good things about it. So yeah, the session was really good, and it was really immersive, and then just as we kind of got into hindsight over the week, it was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, I definitely had a, wait a minute kind of moment, because there's multiple reasons for this. And I'm not pointing necessarily fingers at one thing in particular, because it's one of those things it's a culmination of several things in one.
Yeah.
But I think I basically started to saw it off with, hey, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I just said, like, for as many guns as I had pointed down range at that thing, they did basically dick all.
Well,
and
yeah, you started by saying, like, I think it was something like, I don't know what the point of, and it was, your first statement was very general.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know what the point of owning more than, owning X number of guns on a thing was. And I at first I was like, oh, is this just like a rules clarification? Because there are actually some mechanics which kind of benefited. And then it kind of turned into like you were started to say there, no, but I mean, like, literally last time, why did I have so many guns pointed on target if they didn't do anything?
Yeah, now, again, this is where, like, it was kind of my bad. For my part, I didn't actually add any significant mechanical weight to said guns. I didn't. I literally said, hey, I'm gonna point all these guns downrange. I really don't care about them, where they are, what they're doing. They're just there. I'm gonna fire them.
All right. So, well, I don't know. Where are you going from there when you say then? Because, like, from a game mastering standpoint, I can talk about a little about, like, how I translated that input.
Well, okay. Well, here's my next point. This encounter, while it was very like intensive focus, I kind of felt like you might have, like, clutched some parts together that maybe didn't stick purposely well. Because overall,
entirely possibly,
this was a mass combat. Mass combat is very mind's eye theater. You don't necessarily put hard numbers on things. But with the seismic tank, though, there was hard numbers involved. We actually had to do damage to it. And again, this goes back to my earlier point of, I didn't give the guns mechanical weight. Mm-hmm. So, like, I couldn't really necessarily bring them to bear on said things. And I was actually looking at this because, as the Mega said, when there are actually some rules
for having a lot of guns and fire them all at once. They're called the barrage rules. The Mega pointed them out, and I was like, oh yeah, these do exist.
Because in fiction, normally, like in Star Wars, there are some large-scale ships. Like if you're going to do capital ship fights, they have very, very big number gun.
Big number gun. Yeah, so usually they have a barrage rule. The thing is these are only limited for 5+ silhouette vehicles. And usually, do they have actually have to have so many number ones? It just have to be 5 silhouette plus.
Yeah, it's to take the action, you have to be Sil 5, you have to be an actual capital vehicle, and you just have to have more than 2 guns of this, more than one gun of the same type, I think.
Yeah.
You have to actually own multiples. Because the idea is basically they're they don't want you to figure out some way to glue 8 just stick guns on your light freighter, because the Millennium Falcon has 8 fucking hard points or whatever, and go yes, now I can do 5 bajillion damage, because it doesn't make sense for what you're doing anyway.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually going to get into a little bit about that too. But the thing about capital ships is you really don't use capital ships as, what I want to say, you don't really necessarily command a capital ship. Capital ships are
we don't really do capital ship combat, but it's an interesting way the game scales where, because you were talking about, mass combat is, as Lucky brought up, very loosey-goosey. The numbers at which, you set the different mass combat difficulties are very loosey-goosey. What actually each mass combat check means is basically nonsense. The game just straight up tells me, the check means whatever you decide it means, Game Master. It can be, every 5 minutes you do a check, or it can be to check concrete objectives. So, for me, to spoil some discussion, I translated this as, okay, every check is a certain amount of range increment as the enemy comes closer.
Yeah.
Which I think that part at least worked for what I was working with.
Oh, yeah, that worked. That hell worked.
But, so, like he's saying, the actual way you handle capital ships with these barrage rules and all this stuff is, no, you're in a structured combat where, you have, your people commanding a ship. What I expect you're about to do is talk about how it's very weird for player characters to command capital ships of, 5,000 dudes.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Because
awkward.
here's the thing, because here's the second thing I was going to talk about. This kind of plays into Omega's talking about Fantasy Flight Crayons wants everyone in the fucking Millennium Falcon.
It is literally how all space vehicle combat is balanced. Actually, some of the stuff they've done for chases and races, I think very small vehicles actually work, because a speeder bike is so wimpy, you can actually just get on one of those in personal scale and actually feel like it matters, right?
Yeah. Now, and Fantasy Flight wants everyone, in the fucking, Millennium Falcon, everyone has a specific role and guns and stuff. And like I said, once you get up to capital ship scale, you can kind of turn the capital ship more into a set piece item, maybe something that you don't necessarily interact with, just does stuff on its own because it's so fucking big.
Literally, by the way, when they talk about starfighter scale combat, that is what they advise, is don't bother tracking these big scary capital ships unless they're an objective. Just have that be a scene which advantage and threat spends can pull into that, right?
Yeah. But then this is what I've noticed. In that space between giant capital ships and the Millennium Falcon, there's almost nothing to streamline combat. Cause I'm gonna use Sierra Mobile, for example. Sierra Mobile is a fairly big tank, but it's not super huge. It's crewed by 30 dudes. Well, not 30.
Though I want to throw this out there, though. It is only Sil 4, right?
Right.
It's the same silhouette as a Millennium Falcon, as a light freighter, as a party bus. But it's not just a party bus, because this thing's 40 meters long and 20 meters tall, and they don't even tell me how many fucking dudes can fit in it. They say it can hold up to 300 dudes.
Yeah. So it's a big thing. Now, actually, let me pull up its stats real quick here, because, like I said, I want you people to actually have, I want you to understand where I'm coming from here, because, like I said, I did a lot of thinking about this.
By the way, it's good that you bring up Sierra Mobile. I don't think I've ever said this out loud, but I definitely use the Juggernaut's rough stat line as a guideline for how tough I wanted the seismic tank to be.
No, that's fair. Let's see here. Where did I put my RMA notes? Because I want to talk about this. Because this goes into basically NPCs, their use, and fucking action economy. So, here it is. So, its crew is 1 pilot, 1 co-pilot, 1 engineer, 1 commander, 1 navigator, 1 comm specialist, 6 technicians, and 8 gunners. So, yeah, almost 20 dudes.
So hypothetically, right, player characters can take a chunk of those,
Yeah.
Player character can obviously be the commander, they can be one of the pilots or co-pilots, you can be the navigator, etc. But
Or
when you
gunner,
get to like technicians and gunners, okay, you need people to manage all the gunnery positions because there are quite a lot of guns on this thing.
Yeah.
That makes it, one, easy for like a player character to like kick a guy out of whatever weapon system they want. Like it's, an old school Battlefront game. You can just, get in the slot.
Mhm.
But also that means that it's like, I think a point we're going to get to here is like, look at that number, 6 technicians. How the fuck does that work for player characters? That means you got 6 guys whose job it is to take their wrench and like bang around on things if things get fucked up. How does that work in the action economy?
It doesn't. Because here's the thing. Like, this is what I want to talk about. Theoretically, I should be able to, like, those guns should, if we're in a combat, those guns should be firing and trying to achieve something. But this is the problem. If we make those 8 additional rolls, that's a fucking lot of time taking up. And then if they all hit, that's a fuck ton amount of damage. I'm like, this.
I would basically need to add like 2 or 3 extra enemies who don't do anything because I don't want to overbalance the encounter so you die, just so mooks can be blowing up dudes in the background.
Yeah, I know. So I'm like, this is what I was thinking. This is one of the things I was complaining about. It's like, yeah, for all these guns that show up and all these dudes I have, they're doing basically nothing but like screaming, bang, 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 bang. Like they're just making that sound effect.
We should also preface. So there were roles for these guys, and I decided to do the roles myself. I wanted to keep a little of that mystique. Like, I was already, like, putting pressure, very loose pressure on player characters who were not lucky leading the mass combat to, like, make shit up and roll with it, right?
Yes.
Like, I'm already doing what for player characters is sometimes a big ask of, like, okay, you're in a situation, what the fuck are you doing? And it's not, like, structured time or anything. Again, mass combat, very loosey-goosey. And then we translate those results to the mass combat check. Sometimes I was like, don't even fucking roll. Just, you're helping at it, you know? And then so the mechanic was like, okay, like to put a different perspective on this, we're talking about how this is usually a really big abstraction. I'm like, I need to de-abstract this slightly. I can't make it just, if you win the mass combat roll, you win, because the odds are you'll win a mass combat roll. We'll talk a little bit about this later, I think, because it comes into some of our discussion. But making it a single roll is way too loosey-goosey. But then I'm like, okay, but then what is, like, my potential? And, obviously, like I said, in hindsight, there are probably other ways I could have done it. Like, I probably could have, like, just taken its arbitrary, like, hit threshold number, and then, like, your number of successes on mass combat could have worn that down, but then that probably would be too small, right? Like, you wouldn't do enough quote-unquote damage with mass combat to actually do this in the time frame, you know?
I think I would have said, like, a threshold of successes. Like
yeah, probably just, like, it. And obviously, you know, I took a little bit of a break to plan this out because the way I wrote this scenario was, I don't know what you're doing. I'm going to present you with options. You're going to make your battle plan. And then it was like, okay, cool. That's a perfect break point. Let me think about this, you know? And so in the week I had between sessions, I sat down and I thought about this and I came up with the system I had, which is, okay, the target is going to move every turn. If you succeed on the mass combat, that means that you're going to achieve your tactical objective, which, as stated in the previous session, was get my big guns to fire on this guy and fuck his shit up. So I'm like, okay, your big guns were fire. Hopefully they'll fuck his shit up. I'll introduce a little bit of randomness. So, again, because if literally you succeed and all the guns hit the guy, they're fucking dead. They're going to explode. You guys jury-rigged, like, you know, a couple dozen guns and had, like, a shitload of artillery pieces I gave you because you wanted some serious ass. You know, you wanted some fucking action to throw. So I'm like, okay, if we translate these 1-to-1, it's going to be over immediately.
Yes.
So I decided, okay, we'll do what you do in these situations. Well, the dice answer the question. Well, I had to roll. Well, I didn't have to roll the dice. I could have let you roll for NPCs. And I think I was thinking about this earlier today. Why didn't I make you guys roll for your NPCs? I was like, okay, well, so you're not. Now, at some points, you could have been directly on the guns. Like, actually, player characters could have put guns on targets. And I was actually quite surprised when certain player characters did not put guns on targets when they had a chance to, like, focus on the main objective. Because, like I said, this was very tense. There was a lot of questioning of, like, oh shit, are we going to get this done? But it doesn't make sense for player characters who are not directly doing it to roll their big boy player character pools unless they're directly doing the thing, right? Obviously.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, I'll roll for clones. I was thinking about, why didn't I just make you guys roll the clones dice pool? And it was like, oh, well, it's because I didn't necessarily, like, hard and fast lock down their dice pools. I, in the moment, figured, okay, what's fair for these guys to have? They got, like, 3 or 4 guys in this vehicle. There's a shitload of guys in this big thing, so we'll give them, like, as many dice as I think is fair for them to have. At one point, like, in a second round, I was like, oh, yeah, there's so many guys in here. I should give them boost die. They should have, like, people, like, in this big artillery tank, like, helping them, right?
Right.
Which, if I gave you guys a dice pool, that usually makes that dice pool, like, much more static, right?
Mhm.
Like, obviously I can go back and say, like, oh, technically I should have given you a boost dice or whatever, but it's not as fluid once I arbitrate this is the dice pool, I pass it to you. So, I think in my mind I was thinking, I'll just keep it a little loosey-goosey, I'll roll it myself, I won't even, do the rolls public, I'll do them with physical dice so that the die roller doesn't, get weird and fuck us. And then it was at night, it was dark, it was raining, I rolled that randomly, that wasn't like I decided to add that challenge factor. When it happened, I was like, that's great, that's fucking rad, it's gonna be like at dusk, it's gonna be storming, that's really cool. And it was.
Yeah, it was.
And then I roll fucking so many. I should have taken pictures. I'm rolling 3 extra black dice for concealment because it's dark and raining. Usually black dice are worthless. Blue and black dice, boost and setback dice in Star Wars, 2 of their faces are literally blank. And they're 6-sided dice. So 1 in 3 rolls does nothing. It has no effect. Not even the higher level dice. I do believe, I've got my physical dice out. Yeah, so ability dice, the green dice, and their reverses, the purple, also don't have 2 blanks, right?
Mm-hmm.
They only have 1. The higher level, the 12-sided dice only have 1 blank. So, it is definitely a higher chance that nothing happens. So, usually what happens when we assign setback and boost dice, it doesn't matter. Player characters are like, hey, can I get an extra boost dice? I'm like, yeah, sure, I don't give a shit. You're gonna roll a blank on that die. And sometimes you get all paint, sometimes you don't. I got all paint on the setback dice for almost all my rolls, and it was
wild.
It started to kill me a little bit as the game master. I'm like, okay, me, you didn't intend for this to be this hard. So we started to massage stuff a little bit as we went on, but
so this got me thinking, because this was in a mass combat, I was making leadership checks for a lot of stuff, and I came to a realization past wait a minute, I should have been using, because if you don't know, Arma is really good at leadership in mass combat. It's
kind of your thing.
It's kind of my thing.
And again, this is why we didn't want to make it just pure, or I didn't want to make it, and Lucky agrees with me, that it shouldn't have been just pure mass combat, because if I leverage that too heavily, it's just fucking over. It's like if I set a combat objective or an encounter objective where your goal is to shoot one guy really well, you have a guy who does that. Now, that could be funny if there were a shitload of obstacles in the way, but this was not necessarily, the way you guys chose this was the enemy has to come to you, so.
Yes.
So it was a little loosey-goosey, so, yeah, you were saying, you roll really well on these checks sometimes.
Yeah. And, I guess, and as I was saying, I think my immediate gripe is, despite me rolling so well on these checks, I didn't necessarily felt like my success correlated to the effects of guns on target. And then I realized why that was. Is despite me rolling really well on this, really pretty
decent. I think there was one time when you actually got a failure and we're like, I don't want to modify the dice. It's roll number 1. We'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be fine. But it's the fact of I should have been using my mass combat, my dice, to maybe affect the guns, or specifically maybe the gunners, because.
Well, yeah, because you were getting successes and extra success and extra advantage on these things that weren't necessarily going places. We did make them go places, and we can talk about, you went all out and rolled one really, really big check. And then in retrospect, I'm thinking about this as you're starting to bring up, oh yeah, didn't you, spend 8 advantage on that check to give everybody, 4 duty?
Yeah.
That was a productive use of our advantage?
Yeah, again, that's what I'm talking about. I'm like, yeah, no, I did not use it the best. Because, again, this is me. I did not have the guns in a mechanic sense, so I didn't think about this shit. Hindsight, y'all.
Yeah, at the same time, hindsight, maybe I should have brought up you could use advantage or success in this way. I didn't think of it ahead of time because I assumed you would roll great and I wouldn't roll like an animal. So it would have, my mental assumption was, the dice will balance out. And they did eventually balance out, but it was very close.
Very close.
So it was kind of a thing of now that we have time to think about this, we both should have, been a little more hardcore, but again, in the moment, we were we're just rolling with it, we're going, we're doing the thing.
Yeah, I know, and like I said, this is what I'm talking about, where I feel like Fantasy Flight has made a miss, is they don't necessarily write concrete rules on how to, actually command NPCs to do a thing. Usually you either form up a squad, in which they just usually give you a single blue die,
which is, and to be fair, that's a very robust role. I think you were talking about this when you were doing some other planning of oh yeah, mission specialists exist.
Mission specialists is great. Yeah, mission specialists.
There are actually some really good ways, and the way the squads and squadron system works is actually really good for handling squad level combat, right? You should be you know, when we guys do squad level combat, when it's like, okay, you're commanding like a couple dozen dudes, we don't want to have them break into like 4 minion groups of 6 and have Omega roll 6 more checks, or even have the player characters roll 6 more checks. We've already got a full encounter. We'll just break them into minion groups and attach them to people and do stuff. Does this mean that if you don't do the squad rules, and you have some extra NPCs, sometimes they don't do anything? Yeah, well, I mean, that's... Watch any, like, mass fight scene out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's usually some guys who are doing fucking nothing in the back, because that's how, like, the choreo and the shot choreography works, is you have the extras, they're waiting for their mark, they're not doing anything all the time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but you are right that, as you're talking about this, because I don't think you put the... I don't think you put forward this word specifically in our conversation. Mm-hmm. So as you're saying this to me, I'm thinking about it, I'm like, no, you're fucking right. There's not a good way to... There's not good rules to specifically handle generally commanding NPCs on a macro scale that is not mass combat. Now, mass combat pools can get very small. You can do a mass combat with, like, oh, you've got, you know, a couple dozen well-trained dudes. You can do this as a mass combat. You know, like, if you were to do, like, an Age of Rebellion game and be like, okay, you've got to fight, like, a couple hundred stormtroopers with, like, you and your couple dozen rebel friends. You can make that work, right? You can do that guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
But especially, I think, the context of vehicles, like, being, like, a tank ace in the FFG game is weird. Like, some of these vehicles do arbitrarily have enough slots to, like, fit a whole party, like, we could cram an entire party in a clone saber tank, right? Quite frankly, clone tanks have way too much space in them. Yeah. They've got like 4 passenger slots. It's dumb.
I'll be riding on the wings, but hey, yeah.
Yeah, so like we could make that work, but in terms of like actually getting in there for like, okay, what if you're like one little tank versus like, oh, a big boss tank? I'm like, how does that work? It would probably be very clumsy unless everybody was all in for like vehicle combat and doing their thing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the scale doesn't match up. Like we said, talking about Sarah Mobile, your Juggernaut tank. This is a very, very big vehicle. It holds a lot of dudes. It's very hard to translate all those dudes doing things, even in like a one-on-one vehicle combat sense, because you can't really... It's not big enough that the rules let you actually like punch out and do some of that higher level stuff. Like, there's a lot of different actions that make a lot of sense. And usually when I do interacting with capital ship stuff, I usually take it as like, no. If you're issuing the order to fire, we use your gunnery pool because you're coordinating that gunnery team, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we can't, like, do that with the Juggernaut. There's not a gunnery team. There are, like, 8 gunners. Each has a different gun.
Yeah. And this is why, like, I came out of the fine side that, like, as the commander slot, if I yell at the guns to fire, I make a leadership check. And depending on the success of that leadership chip, like, so many guns fire, and they might get so many upgrades to their pool.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's another thing, because, again, that depends on the success. If I roll really shitly, well, guess what? They're not going to fire many guns. Mm-hmm. And they might miss horribly.
And that was kind of how the mass combat was sketched. Like, the idea was, the way I wrote it was, okay, the enemy force is, like, they've got multiple levels, they've got some different stuff they can do, like, if they get reinforcements, they can do different things, you know? I had some narrative stuff in there that could happen. There's some stuff I still didn't get to. We'll have to wait another day for you guys to be ambushed by waves of, Lancer droids, like it's the Genny Tarkovsky Clone Wars cartoon. Literal droids with lances on motorbikes. I'm sure some of the players and player characters would be super into that. But yeah, like, the way I set it up was, okay, you'll roll the mass combat. This is the enemy disposition force. Their tactical goal is to, like, fuck your shit up. Your tactical goal is to make sure they don't fuck your shit up and get shots on target. So if you succeed, your tactical goal is met. You'll shoot at the target. We'll roll dice. We'll hope that does something. Again, when I wrote this, I probably should have made this a little more failure-proof and a little more concrete, but, you know, I was winging it. Yeah. There's not really a good rules precedence for this, so.
No, there's not.
This is kind of the problem with GMing when there's not rule precedent. Like, a lot of people have talked to me about this system, and they talk about the simplicity and like, oh, you can just make shit up. Yes, you can. And a lot of that is good, because it lets you be fluid. Like, I think I've kvetched before about how this current edition of D&D is, like, sometimes way too mechanically strict without actually, like, making it easy for your GM to run. Mm-hmm. But a lot of my complaints about 5e come from the same thing, where, like, there's just a little hint that this exists, like, players can interact with this, there's no rules on how to handle it. Like,
yeah.
They got a lot of, like, tool proficiencies and stuff, and I'm like, man, I should take up a tool proficiency. Like, I should take up tools as a hobby, even though I only have a proficiency in a game set, because that's what I got as building a player character, because that makes sense, right? To limit my options there. Oh, you're a noble. You play games. You don't work with your hands. Okay, thanks, guys. Yes, it's very funny that my int of 8, my -1 int paladin plays chess. Yes, that works out as an interesting character thing, but it doesn't do anything for the game, and honestly, I'd be better off role-playing if I didn't have to worry about it. I might play chess anyway, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So in the Fantasy Flight games, I like to talk with people. I'm like, hey, has anybody ever come up with concrete examples for some of this stuff? Is there like a rule hidden in a sidebar somewhere? Because if you have to go it entirely on your own, the only thing you have to base it on is what you feel like the dice will do, which can be wrong because the dice can and will do anything. Boy, howdy, we had a lot of that in that session. The amount of times Loth, who is playing a character focused on heavy weapons, whiffed his fucking use heavy weapons check and just was like, well, that's what happens, you know? So, that's the thing I think I forgot in the design phase was dice be crazy.
Dice be crazy.
But you only have to rely on the dice as a game master, and then whatever your experience and your ideas tell you is fair, so I didn't really get a chance to playtest this idea, because that would have ruined it for the player characters, so you guys were basically doing an open beta test of a rule I made up to see that fit the situation. Parts of it worked, parts of it kind of didn't now that we're in hindsight, right?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I think you want to go amiss if you maybe ask for like opinions or ideas, or maybe try to workshop some things with the players. You just don't necessarily need to put like proper nouns to words and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think I've talked about not necessarily like mechanics I've made up, but definitely talked about like, hey, if you guys were to handle this problem, how would you like to do this kind of thing, or what kind of stuff are you guys looking for? You know? Yeah,
because this might segue into something a little bit later. But here's the thing about GM. GMing is hard, guys. It's hard. Like, a player character only has to worry about the character and everything that they can reach and touch. The GM literally has the entire universe in their hands, and it's a fucking lot.
Well, and also another thing that I brought up later is the GM's not a mind reader. Like,
no.
I can expect certain things from players. I can't be 100% sure what players are going to do, you know?
Yeah, and this is why I want to say sometimes you do actually need just to fucking ask.
Yes.
Though. Well, I shouldn't say fucking. That gives it way more fucking vehemence than I actually meant. But,
and sometimes I do like to ask, like, what? Like, there are times when players, like, try to do stuff and they want to, like, roll certain checks, and I'm like, wait, okay, stop everything. What are you trying to do here? And we're like, no, I'm trying to do this. And sometimes I'm like, okay, roll this dice, roll that dice. And sometimes we're like, don't even bother rolling the dice. Just do it. I don't care. Do it.
Because me and Omega were going on this back and forth, and like originally you were kind of like, I don't want you to have all those guns because all the fucking thing will be over.
Well, yeah, I'm like, I don't, and I did say this later, and you agree with me. I'm like, well, I don't want to roll individually for every gun. You literally got dozens of free guns that I kind of figured you would do something with them, but then I was like, well, now I've shot myself in the foot. You're trying to shoot them directly. I'm like, okay, how do I manage this? Well, we'll make it like barrage stuff. You'll put them all together. We'll treat it as like one big blob, and they'll do the thing. They did not do the thing, but that's mostly my fault for the dice. And again, so yeah, I'm like, I wanted this to actually be a challenge, and if it gets too mechanical, there's way too much ability to just massage raw numbers that would make this go by too fast, right? Like, you at one point did the flip on me. You asked me, what are you afraid of? And I'm like, honestly, what I'm quote-unquote afraid of is that this is going to be over in like an hour, and it's going to be really unsatisfying. Like,
well, yeah, and I can agree with that, because, again, talking about, like, players, we do have, like, we are high-level players, and we can pull off some bullshit. We honestly can. Listen to our, like, half-hour tirade at Axe last session.
Yeah, that was a discussion that happened in the moment, where we got Axe reverted to an old habit where what actually happened was he tried to take out the boss and everybody in one go. That's not even what he really wanted to do. It was just that, like, that's where his brain jumped to, and he was like, Axe gets excited about doing the thing and doing it well, because he's good at some stuff, and, like, I've had these discussions with Axe, like, on and off mic about, like, how he feels about what we've talked about, like, that probability massaging, right? Like, he actually, and he has some experience with some, like, hardcore Pathfinder players, where it's, like, full-blown, like, save or die shit, like, actual serious playtesting stuff, where, like, yeah, you roll the dice and fucking nothing happens, and suck it up. You know? So, like, he definitely has a lot of strong thoughts and feelings about, like, player characters sometimes whiffing on what they're good at, right? So when he's good at something, he likes to be good at it. Sometimes this leads to anticlimaxes. that
Yeah.
not even Axe appreciates. Like Axe will do these things, he'll roll these dice, he'll be like, yeah, damn, I did really good. Beat. Full-blown beat. Why did I do that? Like Axe really likes the narrative. He also likes to succeed, obviously, but he likes the narrative too, so he goes to these moments and he's like, why have I done this? This isn't interesting.
Yeah.
You know.
And this is the thing, like, I'm talking about, communication between player and GM. Sometimes you gotta, like, well, maybe, like, because here's the thing, like, Arma, she's a really good punch. She can basically win, I don't want to say any 1v1 fight, but I feel like Arma has pretty good odds.
And yeah, and I brought this up. I do actually, like, not to your detriment necessarily, but if I'm ranking my players in terms of players who are most likely to go balls out and solve a problem immediately, you are probably my number 2. Like, there have been times when, like, Loth or Marth have been like, alright, I'm tired of this die. But there are definitely, like, at any point, if you think the stakes are too high, you will slam that eject lever and get out of this problem. And if there is a cost too high, as a game master, I have yet to properly set up that lever to actually give you that gut check to not do that thing. Cause, like, listen to the episode. Lucky decides to go balls to the wall in a mass combat check because, hey, spoilers, it's not going well for anybody. It's not going well for me because I really don't want to destroy your entire base and put everything in flames. Maybe, like, ruffle your feathers a little bit, like, fuck up your paint job, right?
Oh, we are definitely ruffled.
Yeah, no. I did rustle you, but I'm like, I don't actually want to, like, I don't want to necessarily, like, win this way, because then I got to deal with the fallout and all that other shit,
Yeah.
But I want to, like, put that risk out there so everybody feels involved. So, you do a big boy mass combat check, you go all the stops, you use your, like, special one-single ability to get a shitload of extra dice, and this is the thing I talked about. Force dice are actually fucking nuts. If you have the resources to spend on them, right?
They're bullshit. They're genuinely... No, they're, like, they're the closest thing to, I would call them broken mechanic in FFG, because while you do have to spend resources and whatnot, there is a cost. Usually getting there is not that hard. Like, to be fair, the conflict system and the morality system is probably the least good out of those 3 core gameplay mechanics. Like, I like a lot of its concepts. Actually running your morality score like how you run obligation and duty is a little weird sometimes. Yeah. Now, to be fair, like I did say, I do have to invest a fair amount into getting that. Like, getting I roll, Force 9 when I do that?
Yeah.
5 of that, like, I had to start from 2, I had to start with starting EXP, so I had to start a little bit weaker than everybody. Mm-hmm. I had to pick up 3 Jedi trees to get that, and then I had to spend, big relevant experience to get there, and then the, talents and whatnot to actually pull the thing. So I had to invest XP into getting it.
Yeah, this is your character's big thing.
Yes.
But when you do your big thing, like I said, the actual cost to do it in the moment, you're not afraid of it at all. You don't give a shit. No, I have a destiny point to spend. I can take some strain. I don't give a shit. Boom, my gun's loaded. You're dead. And you do a big check. Now, obviously, as a game master, I'm like, okay, Lucky's taking this. This was the check where I was like, okay, Lucky's taking this very seriously. I need to do something to reflect this, right?
Right. Because, like, when we do say, like, I do have a high damage pool, what I personally like to say, I will pull that trigger because I don't like failing. I like struggling.
Nobody really likes failing.
Yeah. But I do enjoy a good struggle do classic. That's why, like I said, like, up until the thing was really on our grill, I didn't fire this because, as I said, I could have fired this at any time.
Yes.
Literally any time. But I'm like, no, we'll have the struggle, we'll have the back and forth, but now it's on our grill, and I'm like, nope. Well,
it's on our grill, and like we said, the weaknesses of the system I came up were starting to show. We weren't really thinking of it that way, but they were starting to show, and it was like, okay, we need to do some real shit.
Yeah. And this is the thing, I'm like, I think it's like, shit, actually, I just lost my train of thought. Megan, do you have anything to say? Maybe I'll catch it back.
Well, yeah, like, the thing here is, like we're talking about, is we've got these kind of, like, loosey-goosey options. We're doing a patchwork, and you brought up earlier, you weren't necessarily thinking of your guns as a mechanical asset, right?
Right.
Which means that you were not necessarily directly translating even the results of your really, really big, scary check into that. And while I was probably, when I was writing this, it's hard to remember exactly how I felt about everything, but because of the way I wrote it, I'm pretty sure I was also thinking about, you have the potential to really blow out a check if you feel like it.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'll say this, talking about not being a mind reader, like, at one point you said, well, just, if I think it's serious and somebody's getting hurt, I'll pop off. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. There have been times when I have definitely accidentally oversold threats and you guys have popped off and it's been like, ooh, wow, you guys went really ham and took care of that. And I did not necessarily write this as this being that serious. So, like, there's still a little bit of that back and forth with the communication. So,
it's like, because, like, as you put it, GMs should ultimately be fans of the player.
One of the best lessons I learned and I took to heart from OG Apocalypse World games. It's right in the rules. You should be a fan of your players' characters.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you should necessarily let players run wild.
Well, think about it again in writing terms, audience, and also if Lucky doesn't already think of it this way. Are you actually fans of characters who succeed at everything and beat up everybody they run into and never struggle? No, we don't like those characters.
No.
So, yeah, part of being a fan is being part of that challenge and, like, doing some of that back and forth.
And this is one of the things I actually wanted to bring up with you, Omega, is you actually like to stick to, like, listed profiles in game, which I always find a little weird because as we have proven as we're high-level players, we will chew through just most things, even accidentally. Like,
yeah, I try to massage some of them, but it's the old, like you said, GMs have a lot of stuff to manage, Like, coming up with, like, 4 or 5 interesting, balanced stat blocks that meet our player characters is rough sometimes.
It is.
And to be fair, like, if you're going to talk about, like, how like, that poor tactical boy almost got jobbed out. Oh, that guy's beefed up, by the way.
Oh, God,
I gave him some extra juice.
Oh, no.
I gave him mostly extra juice to have a fun thing with your character because I felt that would be kind of a foil thing. But no, I beefed him up from as written because I've read the as written stats and I'm like, nah, you're gonna die.
You're gonna die.
If the player characters just focus fire on him, he'll die. This guy's balanced to be a nemesis for like starting or like early tier EXP characters, not like actually quite high tier characters.
I guess that's why I'm gonna call another weekend in the fantasy fight. They don't really think about the end of high level. It's just like, what do you expect players to be doing?
No, unfortunately, that they leave you room to scale up. They don't ever scale up anything themselves, other than just like raw size scaling. They don't ever scale anything up, and it's a shame because that means I got to scale shit up, and sometimes I just don't bother because it's a pain in the ass to like live edit every stat block line. And so like you brought up to me, like you like to use a lot of stuff out of the book. I like to use it as a base because one, it's easier, right? If you already have a set of numbers ahead of you, you can be like, okay, I can wrap my head around like what's kind of intended, and then I can like kind of take those numbers and jump off of those things. Like something I almost always do unless I'm off the cuff ripping out a stat block, or just in general, I think it is supposed to be part of the game design, so I don't usually go that extra mile with like mooks, like minions. But like something I usually fix for my NPCs, bad guy NPCs, evil NPCs never have initiative. And it sucks as a GM because if it means you have to do all kinds of annoying things with encounter design. I won't go over it. I've done this rant multiple times, sometimes in the middle of an episode, but imagine basically in D&D if every evil mook creature in D&D never had a positive dex score for initiative. And it's just like, why have you done this? Like, I appreciate that Fantasy Flight, like, makes initiative, like, basically social based. Like, the 2 initiative stats are based on your presence and your willpower. Cool. Guess who sucks at those always? Villains. Almost no villain who's not a big bad has force of personality and willpower in Star Wars. It makes perfect sense, but also, God, you guys, you're killing me. Bad guys almost never go first unless I go out of my way to write a bad guy who goes first as, like, a novelty. Ugh. And it's so hard to manage some of this stuff. Like, I think I rolled really, really well as one of those villains because he actually had a little bit of vigilance, and I think I gave him a little bit extra. Because he was a leader character.
Yeah, because, like I said, this is the unfortunate thing about high-level plays. You usually generally have to put a lot more work into making things that keep up with players. Because I'm going to tell you right
sometimes I'm inspired. Like, I've actually got some very fun ideas for for keeping some stuff with our next adventure, which I'm already working on writing, because you guys picked it, even if we're not going to get to it next session. We're going to have another little bit of a downtime break session and work on some macro-scale projects. But I'm already thinking about stuff, and I'm already thinking how I can learn my lesson from concepts I did in this game that did not go well and be like, I can still make some interesting 1v1 or team fights that do stuff here, you know? So, like, I've got my ball rolling on some stuff. But yeah, no, it's like you just said, it's extra effort to come with ways to balance characters, and this is probably why we get on Axe a little bit, because players can also show restraint. You have free will. You can be restrained if you want. You're usually very restrained. Like, you have built your character so that you have the option to turn it up, but you're not always on, right?
Right.
Your character is not always at 11. Like I said, I haven't yet found a decent force of mechanics or narrative that yet stops you from going to 11 when you choose to, but you have to choose to go to 11 at least. And it works out for us. Like, you can control your strength. And honestly, with a lot of our range characters, like, Boots is also kind of a killing machine, but he's also our medic. I can almost always guarantee that when Loth sees a situation where he can heal rather than hurt, he will usually heal. Even if Axe is like, no, I only actually took like 4 wounds, I'm fine. He's like, no, you've just been hit with a rocket, I'm gonna go heal you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do in character.
Yeah, because let's see, he has deadly accuracy so he just adds like 5 damage to like whatever shot he takes.
Yes. This is another thing, I'm like, again, I don't think we're gonna switch to Gensekai right away, probably, but this is the thing I actually like about the way Genesis is built. They took out all his fucking talents. They took every talent for free damage is fucking gone. It's all like if you get bonus damage, it's usually in very specific circumstances, or it's a flat bonus. It doesn't scale with your skills or nothing. Honestly, I think they may even have overcorrected at some point. I think that technically skills like, I don't remember if certain talents like natural are actually like ranked. Like if you're supposed to be able to take them multiple times for multiple skills. Which I think you should be able to. Like, I get that natural is very powerful, and you shouldn't actually make like the 5 million versions of the natural talent that are in Star Wars for like 2 different skills to reroll, but like, in Star Wars, players can also acquire multiple rerolls, and Fantasy Flight Games, I love your dice pool system. It's not so perfect that players don't want to be able to reroll dice, guys. But like, this is the thing that they learned when they iterated their game design, and they're like, man, all these talents that give players free damage suck. Because they do. And I can't really, like, they're in the rulebook, and I can't really be like, nah, you can't take those. Like, if you want to grow your character out to deal damage, this lets you do it directly without randomization, and if that's what you want to do, I think it's worth getting into and worth being that reward. Like, that means that I can just sometimes throw mooks at you guys and know that if you guys roll paint, those guys are fucking dead, and you guys are gonna feel like badasses because you just killed like 5 guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it works both, but it does, like I said, make some of these challenges where it's like, gosh, I have to overtune every boss so that if Axe decides that he wants to do something funny, or if Loth is just gonna shoot him, or like if Lucky goes last and this guy punched somebody, Lucky's gonna turn it on, he's gonna like actually have some back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard work sometimes, and like genuinely, like we had this discussion about the way the session went, and I'm thinking in hindsight, I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't take some of that into account. Like, I'm pretty sure in the moment, like if we had thought of this, like you said, if you had actually thought to bring up like, oh hey, I've got like 8 advantage lying around, can I do something to make these guns do better? I probably would have been like, yeah, I guess. I mean, that tracks. You're going to spend the advantage, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like in that big check, you were like, all right, I've got a lot of success. I'm going to dedicate it towards the thing. And I'm like, okay, I need to reward this. Like, Lucky said he's putting all the success towards this. The success is to succeed on shooting this guy. I need to make this count. And it did count a little. You got about 50% of the work done in one single check, you know?
I went burr.
Yeah, and honestly, if I'd had a better grasp of what I wanted to do, but again, like I said, it's hard. With mass combat's very loosey-goosey. What does extra success mean? Well, sometimes it makes perfect sense to be like, okay, you're depleting the enemy force, you're getting there. It's good, great. Other times it's like, gosh, what does it mean? Like, if I was doing like time-based segments, it would be like, what does it mean to get extra success? And it's the great question of the Star Wars system. Sometimes you have to ask these questions, and we just don't fucking know. And usually you guys are pretty good about just being like, if there's nothing, drop it, right?
Yeah.
Like, most of the time, the players don't feel like they're being robbed from, like, I don't actually know what to do with your, like, 4th extra success there, buddy. There's no rule for that. It's just like, okay, well, that's how it is. We move on.
Yeah.
Like, not to shit on Axe. Axe will sometimes discuss, like, is there something better we could be doing with advantage or extra success? Because, like I said, he has those traumas. He has those deep cuts about, like, failing for no fucking reason in, like, Pathfinder or D&D or whatever. And, like, I don't really want to throw stones about it. Like I said, I don't want to shit on him, but, like, he will definitely do a little bit more of that discussion. sometimes I feel like I have to, like, fight with players to decide what they want to do with their advantage. I'm like, you've got 4 advantage, spend it or else, as I hold my knife, and Loth is just that fucking knife cat, like, holding the knife at the cat, just like, face. He doesn't care. And Loth will readily admit, yeah, sometimes he just doesn't give a shit about stuff. He's not interested in that part of it. So it's like, okay, fine. You don't care, I don't care, you know? That's definitely a good lesson for GMs in general, is if your players don't give a shit, and you don't want them to give a shit about something, don't give a shit yourself either. It doesn't matter. If it matters to nobody at the table, it literally doesn't matter. Skip it. I don't care how much the people who wrote this game think it matters. Skip it. You know?
Yep.
But yeah, we had a lot of this hindsight discussion, like I said. Like, I definitely, like, thinking about it, I'm like, okay, a little bit of mea culpa. I could have been, like, more open and direct with, like, and do this or do that, but...
Yeah, don't worry, I got some mea culpa, too. And that's what I'm saying, it's like, and Fantasy Flight, you got some mea culpa, too. Like, that's why I started this off with, like, there's not necessarily one particular point of blame in this, but in hindsight, looking at all of this, it's just like, geez.
And that's also why I wanted to say, like, at no point do I want anybody to think we didn't have a fun time, right?
Yeah.
Like, in the moment, we were having a pretty good time. It's only as we got down to the wire that both the players and even as the game master were kind of going, yeah. You know, you're playing that keep talking and nobody explodes game, and you realize you've got, like, 5 minutes left and 4 of these fucking puzzles to do, right? It's like, okay, ooh, this is getting close. But
spicy.
Even then, that was still part of the tension, right? Like, it was still keeping up everybody driven. It's just that when we think about it, we're like, we could have done that cleaner.
Yeah. So, lessons for next time. I think I've hit all of the points, really. Because we talked about player strength, player power, the lack of...
Well, actually, there's one more thing, because we talked about a lot of this in hindsight, and I talked about, like, basically playtesting earlier. I think there were certain points in the discussion where I was... definitely internally and probably externally was a little dismissive, because in my mind, and I eventually said this at some point, in my mind I'm like, this was just a one-off thing I did. The odds that you will run into this exact scenario again, very slim, right? Because I had to write this for a specific scenario that you guys technically created, right?
Right.
I had a very broad problem and you were like, here's how we will solve the problem, and I'm like, cool, I'll make some rules. So the odds that you will try to solve the problem the exact same way will come up again, not high. And this is kind of the, like, going back to the giving a shit conversation. I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if this will come up. I don't know if I care. But you definitely wanted to work through some of these thoughts. So you sucked me back into the discussion, right? Obviously, because we've been talking for way too long already on air. After talking for way
it's
too
not
long
necessarily we won't do this necessarily in, but I still, like, I'm pretty sure at some point we're going to be riding around in Sierra Mobile and I'm going to have a bunch of dudes on guns. I'm like, maybe I just want to yell them to fire the guns and maybe my check can do something. Or I'm pretty sure
technically, I believe that's already a rule. I think that's the fire discipline action. Again, talk about the action things are really dismissed. Like, you can roll leadership or discipline to, like, give your all gunners a it's only a single boost die. But
yeah, I know that's kind of...
It's also a static check at least, though. It's like, it's like hard or average or something.
Mm-hmm. But still, that doesn't resolve the fact of there's still 8 guys with guns and how many of them are going to fire, you know?
Yeah. And that's like you said just now or a little bit earlier, that's kind of that can be kind of the discussion point we can take, right? From like, okay, how do we want to handle this in future? Because I think, like I said earlier, we all accept I can't roll dice for literally all these guys.
No.
We'll be here way too long. You guys can't roll dice for all these guys. There's too many guys.
Yeah.
You know, I've talked before about how I like verisimilitude, the not realism, but the sensation of being real. Like, everybody was very immersed in that session. Because we had shitloads of dudes, we got stuff going on. Like, for verisimilitude, you guys are fighting for an entire planet. It makes sense for me to, like, assign you this bigger force. These guys are protecting an entire planet with, like, 2,000 dudes. And obviously you have support staff and stuff as well. But your actual, like, hard numbers, official numbers on your clone forces, you've got a regiment who are, like, 2K dudes. A whole planet, 2K dudes. Yes, a lot of your planet is ocean and jungle, but still, what the fuck? So... On sometimes that's way too small, or like that's at least enough that's believable for some of the things you do. But actually, like, adjudicating all 2,000 guys, oh god, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
This is why we try to abstract some things, but again, it's trying to find that fine level between abstraction and actual mechanics, which is always going to be a work in progress. Honestly, if there's no actual
and like
rules.
I think you also brought up, because you're planning on expanding your defenses overall. You also thought of another thing of like, wait a minute. Why didn't we just make one check and apply it to everything? And again, I'm like, yeah, if you guys had said you wanted to do that, I probably wouldn't have cared and done it. It would have been way simpler.
Yeah, so it's just like, again, hindsight. Again, this is just how hindsight is, honestly. Just
you start thinking about how you could have done things different, and sometimes you come up with ideas. Like, this is why learning is important. Failure is important to learning as well.
Yes.
So there were some lessons to actually take from this.
Yeah, but am I expecting I'm gonna have a bunch of fucking guns down range firing at a fucking moving tank? Hell no.
Yeah. No, it's much more likely because probably the option that you guys will go with, because you're good at it and it makes sense, is your next mass comedy type thing is you guys are going to try and attack a base in a volcano island somewhere. Possibly shaped like a skull. No, it's not actually going to be shaped like a skull, but maybe it'll be sinister.
I don't know. I might think. I don't know. I don't know if we want to actually, like. Well, I guess it depends on how much you want to do it on the mass camp, because I was actually joking. I'm just going to put Marth in charge of planning the assault. Like, Marth, you do what you want to do. If you want to just fucking go in with the fucking spec op teams and blow up the reactors, I'm for it. Let's actually blow it up.
Yeah, no, like, and I think at the current stage of writing, it's technically possible to do that. Like, if you guys want to turn this into a Metal Gear Solid sneak mission, as you guys sometimes do, that's also perfectly serviceable. Like, I understand, like, and especially working with you guys, I know kind of what you guys want, so, like, there's, like, I'm already pre-planning, like, options. Okay, you guys are going to a new region, it's a little far from where your actual bases work, and technically the base you have in the region is more about, like, air power than ground power or sea power, God forbid, you know.
Actually, we have a sub that we've been retrofitting. I wonder how that's coming along.
Yeah, it's been a few months. That's probably, like, the thing is, and I've been thinking about this because I did think about this, the technical thing with that is part of your retrofit was demilitarizing it, but I definitely do still have its old stat block lying around somewhere, so if you, like, want to use that to, like, work with
we don't have to, like,
stuff,
put guns on stuff, but we can just, like, ferry our dudes.
It's probably still way faster to ferry them overland, because, you know, it's the other coast.
Oh, I thought it was a volcano island. My bad.
Oh, no, it is an island, but the coast nearby is the coast on the opposite side, so flying guys straight over
will be okay.
Actually, that is a misconception. You gave me a thought, and I'm like, oh, is there a waterway that cuts all the way across the continent? I'm like, probably not. No, it's Soaliv. You guys are struggling to build a transcontinental railway. Well, not struggling. You pre-struggled and are now on path to build a transcontinental railway. Like, so yeah, no, I don't think there's the Great Soaliv Canal.
I'm not building a Great Soaliv Canal, by the way.
But you guys could still probably try and bring your sub around if you wanted something submersible to work with, you know?
Nah. If there was, like, I guess that I had the misconception that was out in the ocean, you know, ominously smoking volcano base.
Oh, it'll probably be out in the ocean smoking, but it's. I'm thinking like a coastal archipelago.
Yeah.
And I'll describe all this later. This part's done. I have these notes. But this is why we have this discussion. Kind of work out, like, here's your setting. Like, give you guys some options for how you want to approach it. You know, you could maybe post up here. You guys could enter this town, interact with these NPCs, make Omega do an accent, etc. Kind of a thing, you know. And obviously, as player characters, sometimes it's better to do hands-on stuff, and it works better for the game, but also, you guys like to do hands-on stuff, so I'm like, okay, so I'll write some details, like some environmental details. You guys might want to do some recon, you know, yourselves. Jump on a boat. Or you guys might be bored of that, and you might just ask them guys to do it off-screen. I'll just be like, okay, I'll read you the list later, you know? I don't know. So those options are there, and I definitely have room to write it so that you guys could totally be like, can we just fucking literally Metal Gear Solid this and, like, swim up into the base? And I'd probably be like, yeah.
I'll probably like ask, because, like I've said, I actually wrote down what my immediate plans for downtime is, so we can. And
obviously, I do think, because we've got some loose stuff in there I want to hit up. Like, you guys have been talking about revamping your militia. I'd love to get that ball actually rolling.
Oh yeah, no, that's on the plans too, but that involves also other PCs, so I don't want to necessarily lock it in.
Yeah. So we will have a downtime session, and we will work through some of that stuff, and then like I said, my high-level sketch is done. Now I just need to, like, fill in some of the mechanical options, design some stat blocks for some fun stuff, you know, come up with some fun obstacles that are hopefully unique, you know? You guys did have to do already one swimming mission, so that's not necessarily unique. Maybe something else in a volcano island can be fun and interesting, but we'll work it out. And yeah, the thing I think we wanted to get out of bringing up this discussion was that you can learn a lot of stuff from anywhere, right?
Oh yeah, no.
We have learned lessons about this in retrospect,
and I think that's like probably like one of the important things is like when you basically once you run into a problem, like think it over and try to find a solution, and don't necessarily think that what you immediately came up with is the one and only way, because like I said, like, me and Omega Beth have definitely our own thoughts, and we might not be 100% on this, but, like, through talking it out and whatnot, we've definitely been like, nope, I see your point, I see what's going on here, yeah.
By talking it out, we can reach a mutual understanding,
Yes.
and actually, like, figure out how we can move forward if it comes up again.
Yes. Like I said, honestly, like, to talk shit about, people I don't know, I feel like it's something that is lacking in a lot of interactions, especially online. Jesus. There's just a lot
no, it is true. Like, you can talk that shit all you like. Yeah, no, it's coming to mutual understanding is a strategy that is not rewarded by social media, and people are starting to ignore. And it's weird. To get a little deep for a second here at the end of our magical plastic spaceman game. There are some things that you cannot build understanding with other people. You just don't have the same experience as them. You cannot bridge an understanding. And some of these things you have to be able to accept that, like, you can't talk with some people on the same level about certain things. It's just how life is. Like, and honestly, you don't want to be an asshole by, like, butting in and trying to pretend you can relate. But humans can actually relate about a lot of things. A lot of things that divide us are actually fake. They're made up. A lot of, I like to phrase this as, a lot of things in life are illusions. They look real, but they're not really real. That's not a real thing. That's something that humans made up. So there are a lot of things that we can actually come to that understanding on. And if you guys, if people remember that everyone they meet, everyone you talk to, every face you see online, every face you see in person, that's another human being, that allows you to come to that understanding and hopefully, like, actually go somewhere with your discussion. And a lot of discussions don't go places.
No, that's why I'm like, I don't necessarily feel weird about, like, maybe, like, taking shots at Omega or arguing or challenging his points, because I know we can fucking talk it out.
Yeah. And, like, sometimes you gotta be careful. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to, like, come on too strong to Lucky. Lucky doesn't want to come on too strong to me. We've had to stop games because we got a little too spicy before with people. Actually, I was gonna bring this up earlier, like, talking about how you can be very proactive as a player. You've pissed off other people in the group before with, like, how down to clown you have been with ideas that have possible huge drawbacks.
Well, this is what I say. Like, I've learned my lessons.
So, like, it's a thing where you have to know when you need to stop a discussion because it's, like, too real or whatever. But everybody should at least attempt to have a discussion about a lot of things. And, like, yeah, there's some things that you can't have a discussion about. Somebody could pull this quote out of context and be like, "So, Omega, you're saying you have to talk with Nazis." I'm like, there's a lot of people in life you could probably give a pass to talking to. Like, at no point are you forced to come to an understanding with other people, right? Like, at very few times anyway. There are probably some things you're forced to come to an understanding about. Hopefully those are about universal things. Like, I was watching a video that I had to stop because it was about food in the middle of the night, but they were talking about food, and it was talking about, like, Japanese cuisine and, like, how it gets represented in anime, right? And, like, why does that appeal to so many people, even in, like, other countries? Well, it's because food is one of the great unifiers. Everybody gotta eat. You all understand being hungry. You all hopefully understand tasting good food. I think I've brought this up before. So, this is why food porn and, like, food scenes and discussing food work so universally, because everybody can empathize. Sleep, being tired is another great thing. Everybody, I feel like, in their life has got to have at some point been, like, fucking running on fucking no sleep, no space on that, by the way, no sleep, no spaces, all lowercase letters.
No sleep.
Somebody's always been working on no sleep and had to do some shit, and you felt horrible. Everybody's had a bad night of sleep and, like, just had a bad day as a result. Like, not everybody can understand being in poverty. Not everybody can understand being filthy fucking rich, which honestly does probably have its own challenges and problems. Yeah, money solves a lot of shit in our life, but I'm sure it creates all kinds of new fuck-ups. Hold on, my Discord, like, locked up for a second there.
Pretty sure it creates just as many problems in its own way.
Yeah.
I just said that money creates its own amount of problems.
Yeah, I caught that bit. It was, I think it, like, Discord, like, relagged me into that. Well, yeah, somebody brought up a great pandemic trying to kill us all should have brought together, and that worked for some people. It didn't.
Didn't really.
So in the States, we can get a little political about this. We don't like to because we don't want to, like, harsh anybody's buzz, but there was a certain aspect of a certain political camp who decided to politicize the virus. That's really what fucked us. They made it a
Yeah.
political talking point about lockdown and about virus safety and about stuff. They turned it into us versus them, which is
Yep.
really not what it should have been, and is why we're not fucking over it when some countries are mostly over it. But also some countries are managing to start doing worse than us, and definitely worse than us in other respects. I know a lot of countries are having problems with their vaccination rate. We're actually doing pretty good about that in the States. Some could argue some of that has to do with a recent change in leadership in our country, but it could just be the raw work power of it. We don't know.
I don't know.
That's something for somebody 5 to 10 years from now to do a study on and actually figure it out. To bring about our points of discussion earlier, talking about hypotheticals is hard. And I like to remind people of this, not just looking at our discussion, but people in general should remember this. That's actually one of the classic logical fallacies, is trying to argue from a what if.
Oh yeah, no, actually,
you can't build a logical discussion out of what ifs.
No, that's actually one of the philosophical razors. It's Hitchlin's razor. Any argument that can be submitted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence.
Yes. So, if you get too hypothetical in your discussions, they're meaningless. They're pointless. Literally anything can happen. What if the sky was purple? What if the sky was purple, guys? This is a thing that comes up a lot in Let's Talk FGO. People throw hypotheticals at us like they want us to get in on their cool engagement idea, and I'm just like, your hypothetical question is too hypothetical. What do I do with this? What if? Cool. Great. So that's the kind of thing where people are going to get into statistics later and figure out what could have done better and what really didn't matter.
Oh wait, no, that was the wrong one. I was actually talking about Newton's flaming laser sword. Which is, if you can't actually reach to an agreement through this discussion or debate, there's no point in actually debating it.
Yes. And that is a point that, some people, have, actually, fuck it, I'll name names. We've already called out Axe. Actually finds that kind of weird sometimes. He likes to engage with a lot of people. He's talked to me about how he sometimes feel like he has a hard time talking with you about stuff because you're absolutely, like I said, ready to pull that eject lever. If you feel like there's nothing to be done in a discussion, you're out. Why am I here?
Yep.
I'm like that too most of the time. But it's also very easy to bait me into talking about stuff if I can talk about literally anything about that thing.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for it. Lucky does it all the time to me.
But yeah, no, it's here's the thing, if we can't actually come to some sort of agreement, or you just keep harping the same points over and over without actually moving on from the subject matter, I'm like, no, I'm done.
Another classical fallacy, circular arguments.
Yeah.
Guys, I took a college course on this, on discourse and logical fallacies. I took it to heart. I still have some of the textbooks. There are a lot of fallacies, and
straw man, slippery slopes.
Yeah, straw man, ad hominem attacks, slippery
Mm-hmm.
slopes, poisoning the well.
Yep.
There are so many of them. Different appeals that don't matter, like appeal to authority, appeal to tradition. Those don't actually mean anything.
No, it's
if you hear a politician say, we must do this because this is the way we've always done it, he's full of shit. That doesn't mean anything. That's not a justification to do anything logically.
Nope.
Emotionally, sure. You can be emotionally afraid of change and want to keep doing things the way you've done them because you're comfortable. We do things just because they're the way we've done them in our normal life all the time. But not a logical argument. Not a rational discussion. That's just feelings, which, God, it's hard to discuss feelings because your feelings are your feelings, and what the fuck can I do about that?
Everyone's feelings are their own.
Which gets to Lucky's point he made. If this is just about feelings and we can't change those, well, there's nothing to discuss. There's no discussion. You feel how you feel, I feel how I feel, we gotta walk. And that is another thing that the internet social media machine is bad about. People are bad about doing that just walk moment, right?
Yeah.
They're bad about just going well, there's nothing to be had here. I'll leave. So we had some life lessons in there.
Yeah, no.
Also, guys, seriously, look up your logical fallacies sometimes. Learn about them.
There's 11, ain't there?
I believe there's there's 11 classical ones. There's a fair number more than that of things that are considered to be fallacious arguments, but there's a decent number that are the classical fallacies, outlined by the ancient Greeks.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, Lucky did not take a course in such things, but Lucky does actually enjoy the rhetoric occasionally.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also some of these things have seeped into the popular culture. I bet a lot of people on the internet know about ad hominem attacks because the internet is full of ad hominem attacks.
Yeah, it is.
There are some debate nerds who are like, excuse me, that's an ad hominem. Even if he is a pea-brained idiot, it doesn't matter. That's not an argument. Yeah. I know, I mean, it's true, it's not an argument, but that doesn't stop people. People have been calling each other doofuses since the dawn of time.
but he's a doofus. I'm like, and how does that matter?
Like, if you want to build the argument, like, well, it matters because he's a doofus and he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I'm like, okay, the key point there is he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. We don't know what the fuck we're talking about a lot of the time. We may or may not be doofuses. The doofus part isn't important. Anybody can completely, like, we just had let me check the mission clock, actually. We've just had a, like, hour-long discussion about how we may or may not have done a goof in our gaming session that we had fun at, and, like, what we can learn from that, because we are humans, we are not perfect beings. Sometimes we don't get into the goofus. But alright. Now we have, actually, though, we're at almost 4 hours of What's Up after a tech diff, and it's like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm hungry. Go ahead, Lucky.
I think we're good.
Okay. I think we hit all our points in that a couple of times.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more AP stuff. I assure you should still listen to it. Definitely go back and listen to that episode, number 66, In the Dark of the Night. Yes, it is named after that song in Anastasia. We were super gassed after we finished this. Like I said, it was a good session, but it ran long, and we were out of juice. But we will run another session this week. You know, knock on wood, fingers crossed. I can't guarantee that will be as much of a nail-biter, but I'm sure it'll be entertaining to some people. Alright, so it's time to wrap up What's Up, I think. I'm sure we'll have more stuff to talk about with you later. We're gonna try and have the live stream back next week and hope it doesn't fuck us over. I've definitely had the problems where, like, sometimes the stream just don't do goo. Usually that's on, like, my own, like, personal stream nights or whatever, but yeah, hopefully it works out better. So we will be back next week for more What's Up. We'll be back also for Let's Talk FGO next week. We'll have a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm really enjoying this Case Files event now that I can actually play it. It's pretty cool. I will be streaming Monday nights. Monday night is now my stream night because Tuesday is my D&D day. And like Lucky talking about splitting his time, sometimes you need time to do your thing with people, right? You need to have some time to, like, interact with other human beings and not explode. So I do that on Tuesdays. So look for that. You know, Lucky talked way earlier about the schedule, so Monday I'll stream. Lucky will not stream unless he decides to.
He's wild like that.
It's not on the schedule. And look forward to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression video. There will be another AP record on Sunday. Hopefully that goes up, you know, also Monday or Tuesday-ish, depending. Sometimes we have to yell at each other to upload things or post things. Usually I remember to let Lucky know right away, or I ask him after a couple, and sometimes he does it on his own. Sometimes I have to wait a couple days and be like, oh yeah, did you ever do that? With this week, you, like, didn't remember to upload both of them timely, and then because we were, like, a week behind, basically, I was like, when do I post the second one? And then it gets to be, like, Thursday, and I'm like, shit, I have to post, like, 3 videos in the next 2 days. Fuck it goes today. Live. Boom.
Hey, go!
So yeah, there'll be an AP next week. I'll stream Monday. Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression every Friday. I don't think I'm planning on releasing any other videos next week, because we already did a wanted, but you never know. Stuff could come up. Could do, like I said, could end up with a Gorilla stream. That weird Yu-Gi-Oh! Stream I did a couple of weeks ago is really popular, so I'm sure we'll do a sequel. It was completely spontaneous, and I'll need to find the time to do it. So we will see you next week for more What's Up. I gotta get on out of here and eat some food, and also upload and edit this, I guess.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do that. My bad.
That's fine. It's okay. I'll probably just, because some of the patrons have already gotten to listen to the whole thing, and it was public, I'll probably just, like, throw it up, like, on a schedule or something whenever it comes up. I won't do the usual full delay, because it was supposed to be live, and, like, 1 hour of it's live. Patrons obviously will get the audio cut, and maybe some people who want to re-listen to it can go back and do the audio themselves, but I'll probably just throw it out when it's done, you know? Because it was scuffed, we're sorry. Lucky really, really tried to troubleshoot it, and it didn't work, so we'll just throw it out there for y'all. We'll see you guys later. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section down below, or hit us up on our Discord. That link is, as always, in our video description and on our channel page. If you are new here and haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. We're very close to 3K subs. I don't know what we'll do then. Maybe we'll, like, do a live-streamed episode of Let's Talk FGO or something. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
If you want to force us to figure it out, get us to 3K subs. Tell your friends. If you aren't already subbed, make sure to hit that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video or when we stream. So we have quite a few people who have the bell notification, but only like 3% of the, like 10% of you who have the bell turned on actually click it. So considering the bell, you can know right away when a video gets posted and be right there. It's great for you.
Great.
And we have the analytics. I know. Also, like we said earlier, consider joining our channel memberships. Click the join button or click that link in our video description. You get access to membership badges and emotes. The more memberships we have, the more emotes we get, and Lucky's talking about posting some whip stuff to our members, so consider it. And of course, like I said at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. It's a new month. Great time to get in. You can get all our episodes in audio format early for as little as $1 a month or $10 a year, and at higher levels you get access to topic polls, most videos early, access to live shows in ways that won't break on YouTube, and lots of other things. And like I said, it really helps us out and supports us. So, see you guys next time.
Bye.
I was going to say dinner bomb, but I'm pretty sure I've done that joke already.